Hello. Okay. Do you like this crossover in life? The IRL 3D 4D fucking.
That is weird. I've never done that before.
Isn't this weird? You've never interacted with me like this before.
No, this is certainly weird. Here, I need a DM.
Oh wait. I should message someone too. They asked me to message. Okay. Okay. Poggers.
Am I on Windows 11? No.
Why would you do that? Why would you?
I don't know why I would do that. That's like a massive downgrade.
That's like, why didn't you shoot yourself in the foot? Why didn't you unbirth yourself?
That would be not great. Okay, not quite starting out yet. Do you have my Twitch chat open too? If you wanna, if you wanna answer some of their questions too.
Yeah, okay, I'll do that.
Just you can pop out my stream chat if you want.
But you can pop out someone else's chat?
Yeah, you can. In fact, you know what I used to do? This is really cursed. This actually, I'm not even saying that. I'm not gonna say it. I used to watch people's streams and listen to it, and I'd be playing like a video game or something, so I couldn't watch them. So I would just watch their chat because watching their chat was even funnier than like actually watching like them stream.
I'm learning so much. Whoa.
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
crazy.
I'm not sure if that's a default thing, but I have like Better Twitch, 7TV, and like Frankface.
Oh, I was able to do it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
1 second.
Are y'all ready to scam people? I meant, are you ready to become a convention artist?
Convention, not, yeah, convention artist.
Yeah.
Spotify does suck. Shit, alright, well, it's 7:04. I'm gonna give it like a couple more minutes just to, people are filing in.
Yeah, and I'll...
Let's see, does everything sound okay? Does everything sound okay? Oh, I forgot to, that's the last thing I didn't do, is ping my Discord. Oh, this is why I needed to do, you know what, it's a good thing that you taught me about that other thing, so I can...
Yeah.
Everyone... Pinger Ponger.
Ping pong.
Ping pong.
Hello, you're Nappy.
I should not.
Oh my god, wait! Abby?
Oh! Abby?
Abby? Abby's here.
Hello. She's here. Okay. She must be in your chat.
Yeah, because
right now, right?
I'm cooler.
You are cool. Okay,
and I pinged her personally.
Wow. Wow.
Special treatment.
Twitch.tv/MiaoYuen mute site.
Ni hao.
Ni howdy. Pop out chat. So I can have both chats going on at once. Sorry.
Oh yeah, you like his knife? We're
yeah.
We drew, or I drew, haha. Them based, like, the little chibi heads based off of what we spend all of our money on. So
true.
That was the joke.
Actually, I can turn your stream off technically. Just watch your thing. All right. To be a con artist.
Joseph wouldn't let me put his face onto my stream.
You can.
You're not. I'm not gonna fucking screen capture Twitch.
That's really cool. No, it wouldn't even match my voice. It wouldn't even match my voice.
That's what I mean.
If you wanna if you want to take notes, I implore you to actually. But I think I'm gonna make a tweet or like a a breakdown cliff notes type thing.
And then
But I think the most you can get out of talking to us will be asking questions and like hearing us talk about it, because there's a lot of formula to it, but there's also a lot of nuance, just like with anything else.
yeah, and also I'll be uploading it to my YouTube, like the VOD. So if you have questions and want to review things, we'll have that available. I'm not sure if I'm gonna cut the VOD down or not, but we'll see. For same reason, sorry if you sub or follow. Yeah, you. Good luck.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, we will not be acknowledging any like unfortunately, but not be acknowledging any subs or follows, just to keep the flow of the stream going. Yeah, hopefully that's self-explanatory.
For my chat, I'll read them after.
Cool.
At the end.
Sounds wonderful.
Oh my god, Zeke! Hi!
Hello, Zeke. Yeah, we're teaching the secrets. The secrets. Oh, actually, let's go to Miao.
By the way, I just embedded your thing into mine.
Okay. By the way, here is the by the way, this is Miao's stream as well. So if you want to see any questions that their chat has, or versus mine, or vice versa, works out. Because I guarantee you, if you have a question, there's someone else that has the same question, or you're curious about something. Okay, want to get started?
Okay.
It's about a good time.
Okay. Oh my god. Do you want to start with introducing like your credentials and who you are and why the fuck you do this?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, hi. You can just call me Joseph. I'm just gonna say that. But I've been a professional illustrator, concept artist, content I'm not gonna finish that word, but since like early 2020, which is when I graduated from school, and been doing freelance, streaming, managing merchandise, community management, all that fun stuff that comes along with being an artist on the internet in current day for a few years now. And I've always wanted to do conventions since I was like in high school, but it wasn't until like after COVID and all that stuff that I actually really got a really good chance to experience it kind of regularly. And that had a lot to do with Miao's help. So feel free to.
Oh yeah. Hi, I'm Miao, or MiaoYuen. I'm a VTuber. It wasn't always like that, but somehow it is now. But anyway, I am an ex-healthcare worker turned community manager at Healthy Gamer, and also a part-time illustrator, drawing, whatever the fuck, doing that shit. I've been doing conventions since the beginning of 2019, and so it's been 4 years since I've started, and I've tabled at probably like 40 to 50 conventions now total. It's a lot. I don't actually know what my number is now. But
you do one at least like every other week almost.
This year I've been doing at least once a month. At one point last year I was doing it like for like 2 or 3 months straight. I did a convention every week, which was insane. But yeah.
That's crazy.
So I think I have some say in how to be a convention artist and do this kind of thing. Obviously, compared to Joseph, my con clout is definitely bigger than my online and IRL clout. So yeah, just kind of doing my own thing. Our next show is in 2 weeks, or next week.
Yeah, like about a week and a half or so. Yeah. Next weekend.
Yes. We'll be at Anime Impulse Bay Area, so if you're gonna be there, you can also catch us there and ask us questions and shit. Oh my god, excuse me. Yeah.
Yeah, crazy. And you guys will learn that doing conventions there's like a formula to it, but each one is very different. and going about doing each one, preparing for each one, even like winding down after each one and learning from it is very, very different for everyone, and for different types of artists, and it's even very region dependent. So, yeah, like, well, we'll get into that, but first of all, let's we can make our way to just the slides, looking at the slides, and that Miao prepared, and then I have some of all the stuff that I prepared. And I want a very like, I will preface the slides by saying like, the reason why I'm even here is because Miao has like really helped me navigate the business side of things, because like they said, the online versus in-person interactions and clout and all that stuff is very different, and I cannot tell you how many times like social media outreach has maybe 5% to do with like what happens at a convention. So relying on their like knowledge and preparation and organization for doing every single convention is like really important. So they handle a lot of the technical business side of things. So they'll get us started. Why don't you?
Yeah, okay.
for it.
So the first slide, kind of just the topics we'll be going over today. We'll just do like a quick rundown, like what the
Those
fuck
animations.
is... I didn't even know that, dude.
What the
Whoa.
fuck? Okay, that's cute. All right.
Yeah, so we're just gonna start with like kind of a quick rundown, like what the fuck is tabling at a convention, like how do you get started, and that kind of thing, and then we'll go into applying for shows, like how the process works and how do you get in the systems gotcha actually, and yeah, and then after that we'll go into producing merchandise, what things you should start off with, what things you can grow into. Joseph will go also into the difference between just drawing and drawing for prints and things like that. And then we'll go into planning your booth, what that looks like, and then also path to pro, which is basically what, if you wanted to do this full time, how would that look like? Yeah, anything to add?
Sick.
Cool.
Awesome. Glad to have you all here, by the way.
Yeah,
Lovely
yeah,
to see you all here. Glad to see you interested. Okay.
Cool.
Let's
So just to start here, so the first thing I would 100% say is to set your goals. Like, why do you want to table? Why do you want to do this in the first place? This is going to be your guiding principle, because ultimately, if you're in it to make big monies, I've got some bad news for you. This shit is hard, and you also put a lot of money into it. So think about why you want to table at cons and have that freaking pasted all over your room, and so you remember that. Set your income goals. Be realistic as you start out, because yeah, it is expensive. It's to start, even to table, you have to pay for your merchandise, you have to pay for, and it's just a lot to go into. So be realistic about what you want to do. Personally, when I first started, because I was in college at the time, I honestly just wanted to break even at the con and make friends and get to know other people and stuff like that. So that's kind of where that came from. And then also, are you trying to look to make a career out of this, or are you just doing this for funsies? And yeah, for a long time I was definitely just doing this for funsies, and now I'm doing this part-time and paying for me and my 2 dogs with it. So anything to add for that?
Yeah, something that was certainly, because Miao has been doing this consistently for a lot longer than I have, I would say something, because like a lot of people here kind of grew up as weebs and just enjoyed weeb art and, you know, get to doing it, but then turning it into a business that is very hands-on. And I mean, like, you're touching the merchandise, every single unit of whatever you're gonna sell, you eventually put your hands on and give it to people. Like, understanding what that means from a business sense was something super surprising to me. Like, I'm like, when I first saw, like, oh yeah, I want to do Fanime, which was my home convention. I live pretty close to the convention, and I'm like, oh yeah, how much are tables? When I first heard like the tables are hundreds of dollars, that scared the crap out of me. I didn't really like, I'm like, what the heck? That's like so scary. And like, but quickly you realize that like the investment that you put into doing conventions will reward you if you put in the effort, like the like an equal amount of effort to make it worth it, right? So, yeah, like I would say that it is not for the faint of heart to be spending hundreds and hundreds, even thousands of dollars to prepare for conventions, but you will see that that money does not go to waste if you're smart about it, and you kind of have to trust what you're doing. It's like not without risk, obviously, just like any sort of business, but it's not like there's a reason why things cost a certain amount, and having done this now for like a couple years, you definitely find out why. So
Yeah, and
yeah.
also I want to add too, I think that if you have experience with like running an online shop, you will have an easier time getting into the convention scene because first of all, you have your like merchandise stock and all that stuff. But I will stress that it is totally not the same by any means. Running an online shop is very different than staffing your booth at a con. It's very different. First of all, you're taking cash, which is gross. Cash, why do people still carry cash now? Anyway. And then also
You can't say that with a straight face, by the way, but anyways, continue.
it's gross! When you get that
Oh,
number,
you mean
it's
gross as in like
gross.
touching it?
Like,
Yes, it's
like
gross.
the amount of ones
Yes.
I have, I was like, where
It's
have
really
this
gross.
been? Where?
Yeah, you don't want to know where these dollars have been.
Yeah, I don't want to know actually. So it and like also you're talking to people, you're talking to your customers face to face rather than like through a message chat or like whatever. And so you get to see it's like rewarding because you get to see people's reactions to like your shit, but also it's kind of scary because some people get mad or some people are bad customers. Like it's a customer service job. Instead of just being like in your house drawing, getting to do your own thing, now you have to deal with people. And personally, yeah.
Depending on like how involved you are into your own like process of the like the whole workflow of the business, I call it even a pipeline. Like you are the the supplier, the manufacturer, like the distributor, and the person working the desk, and like you're managing all that at once. Your transportation, you have to feed yourself somehow during all this. Like personally, I mean, I'm not sure how much we're going to talk about this, but like having someone to help you is a integral part of my con experience, because like I would not be able to do as much as I do right now without people like Zeke, who like handles a lot of like the shop and actual physical merchandise, and Miao for like a lot of organizational things. Like I could do it by myself, but you know, and I think it's very doable by yourself. I know plenty of artists who do things all by themselves, but things can definitely make it easier, like one way or another. So, yeah.
Echo, the slides will be available. I'll actually just go ahead and post it after, and also the VOD will be on YouTube too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cool.
Okay, so next little part is like identifying your style. This will help determine what direction you want to take with your merchandise. Are you an illustrator like Joseph? Do you make resin goods? Or do you make jewelry? Or do you draw chibis like me? And then do you primarily make fan art or originals or a mix of both? That will help you determine how you want to build out your brand, because that is part of boothing, is that you do have a bit of a brand. If your booth is everywhere with a lot of different things and really hectic, it'll be really overwhelming to look at your booth, and it's just really overwhelming to go through, because you go to a booth and then you don't know what they have because they have a little bit of everything. So you want to kind of identify your niche, whether that is actually a niche or something like Genshin, you know.
Yeah, like I definitely, to add on to that, like I'm not good at this, but people like even in here, like Melty has a very consistent and particular style, and like you look at the booth, you don't even need to look at the individual prints themselves, and you know that she did it. And this goes for a lot of really successful and popular convention artists, like within that space. Like you can tell where you're going and who you're visiting just by the way the booth looks. So I would absolutely agree. Like what you make and how it looks is part of your brand.
Yeah. I have friends who, you know, like they are the Monster Hunter artist or like
The
the
Xenoblade artist.
yeah, the Xenoblade artist. We know who that
The
is.
Xenoblade
Yeah.
artist.
So like, you know, there's things that you kind of end up getting picked up on after you start, and you want to find that niche because it's really helpful for you because not only do you get to connect with people who are also Giga fans of what you like, but also I think people to some degree can tell if you're genuine about what you're selling. Like if you love what you're
I agree.
selling, people can tell.
Yeah.
And although there are obviously exceptions, like people will still buy stuff if you put out something super fucking amazing and you're not really a big fan of it, but it looks good. Like people are still gonna buy it, yes, but like it's the number is definitely gonna be different than if you are like super passionate about what you're doing.
Yeah. I actually, yeah, I talk a little bit about this on the print side of things. Of course, there's some crossover for charms and pins and smaller merch, but yeah, like I think it still applies like across the board.
Yeah.
But yeah, how much does this shit cost?
Yeah.
How hard is it to make merch? How hard is it to make merch?
Yeah. So set a budget before you start, like for real. And your budget should be kind of flexible, as in kind of large flexible. Determine how much you want to spend on merchandise production. To give a quick sneak into what we're gonna be talking about later, but like there's a minimum order quantity for most things, and so then you have to expect to pay enough to like oh, you want 2 things? Sorry, you actually have to buy 100. So you have to keep that in mind when you are looking to start purchasing merchandise. And I'll talk a little bit more about what are like beginner friendly merchandises that you, or like stuff you can get into, which is part of the reason is because it doesn't have like a minimum order quantity. Also, table and booth fees. As we were saying, Anime Expo tables, just the Artist Alley, not like Annex. And Artist Alley is $575 plus badges. Fanime is plus badges. A Fanime is I think 300.
It was
plus
300
badges.
Plus, and badges are 90 a pop.
Yeah. So that means you as the artist have to pay for your own badge plus any helpers you have. So tables are not cheap, and the average booth will probably charge you, I would say, $200 to $300 now. So it's not cheap. I will say it's not cheap, and local cons will be cheaper. I have table at cons that are sub $100, but those, as you'll find out with time, the cost of the booth is pretty proportional to how much you'll be making as well.
Yeah. Like, oh god, like this is not related to most people here, but like, cause I know people who are in the vendors hall, because for people who don't know, conventions are usually broken up to 3 main things. Artist Alley, vendors who sell like merchandise that is not usually made by them. It's like figures, official merchandise, toys, stuff like that, right? And then finally would be like event related things. So if like MiaoYuen is there, or VTubers, or stuff like that. But generally vendors pay a lot more. And if I remember correctly, at Fanime, god, I think a vendor's table was $900, and it costs $2,000 to use their garage. Just to use their garage, it costs $2,000. Like if you have a truck full of your crap that you're trying to sell.
Which, if you're in vendors, you definitely do have a truckload of shit.
Yeah, like some people are insane enough to like wheel it in by themselves, but I'm telling you, like this whole doing convention stuff is a very physical thing. Like it's all fun and games until you realize our parking spot is 2 blocks away, and we have to. You'll see me holding a big brown box full of crap, and Miao holding their big brown boxes full of crap, and we're walking our asses over just to get our badges, just to bring it to the con space and set up. Like it's a big part. It's the part of the process. And
Yeah.
um,
Most
and if you want convenience, you have to pay for it.
most cons actually don't even reserve vendor parking anymore, even for artists. So
Nope.
you have to just park with guests, and that shit
You
sucks.
park with everyone else.
Dollies are useful, but some cons don't allow you to bring them in. Like, actually,
that?
most cons don't allow you to bring them in. You cannot have any kind of thing with
Four-wheeled.
industry wheels. Yeah.
Okay, this is a little bit of the side. I think we'll eventually interject with like some personal stories, but like Anime NYC was so anal about their two-wheeled rule that someone had their wheelbarrow full of crap and just lifted it so that it was like a wheelbarrow, like it was on two wheels, and said to security, "Is this all right?" And then the lady was like very facetiously like, "Yes, that's fine." And obviously it's inhumanly heavy, like it's hundreds of pounds of merchandise. But the fact that that's what they care about, like that will happen. They will. There's a two-wheel rule for a lot of these places. Anyways, but that's like, again, like that's like a part of the physical cost to doing all this stuff. Like this shit is not free.
Yeah.
So.
For people who like want some context, I don't gym, but I can carry.
This is the gym.
This is gym. I can carry some very heavy shit. I remember first time I picked up Joseph's like print suitcase and just lugged it into my car. He just looked at me like, what the fuck? I'm 5'2" and like 110 pounds, all right? I am not large. I am small. And I was able to pick something up that's like over half my weight. So
yeah,
you know, that's just kind of goes to show over time you kind of get swole. So I guess if you want to get swole and you don't want to pay for the gym, this is like a great way to start. But like, you know,
man. Yeah. But yeah, that's just part of like the in and out experience. We can talk about like it's literally called like setup or move in, like, and breakdown. Like those are two major parts of starting and ending a convention. But yeah, that's like the physical aspect after you've even done everything else. Want to talk about a little bit about travel and like stuff like that? Very
sure.
other fun
stuff.
stuff.
Wait, someone asked about, do they let you roll things in a day early? Sometimes there is setup a day of or
Sometimes.
the day before. It depends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, you go for it.
I was gonna say, have you covered table space, and are you talking about like the booth itself? Because we'll talk about that later. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah. No, I was just gonna say, like, for stuff like that, there's something called, sometimes depends on the convention and how big it is. There's called day zero, and sometimes on a day zero before the general public's allowed, sometimes they allow artists and vendors to set up before the day that people, like the general public's allowed. Actually, I don't know, it's actually kind of my favorite part is once I get in to set up, it's like when the convention is completely empty and you just see like the convention like venue as it is before things are up. Like I've seen like the cringy weeb cars. It's like someone's Ferrari like pasted with Kafka or something, and it drives in, you know, like that's like kind of fun. But yeah, you get to see stuff like that, and it's really interesting to be on the backside of it.
Yeah. The worst ones are the ones that are like, so actually you set up 3 hours before the event starts and pray you have enough time. Yeah, anime.
Yeah, anime.
Yeah, so some cons don't let you set up a day before, and actually it's a lot of cons that don't let you set up a day before. Most cons, yeah.
Because you have to understand also that like the people running the convention have to spend an inordinate amount of money just to use the space.
Yeah, per day.
So you're on their time. Like that's like how you have to view it. It sucks, but like the beginning of a convention is always the most stressful. And travel, I think, is a huge part of that because depending on where you go, it can be very expensive.
Yeah, for sure. So why I recommend people to start off with local cons primarily is because, first of all, you get to dip your toes in the water, figure out if you like this kind of stuff, but also then you're not having to pay for some stupid fucking ticket, that like plane ticket across the country or even like across the state that's way too pricey, because then you also got to make sure that you can carry your merch with you, which means that you have to if you don't like fly somewhere that gives you free checked bags is to pay for checked bags, which we've had to do before. And remember, your bag has to be under 50 pounds. So that makes
in America,
it even
it has
harder.
to be under 50 pounds under most flights.
Unless you're paying substantially more for oversized luggage. Like, the price jump from, like, your 50-pound luggage to a oversize is pretty steep.
Yeah.
So, travel is expensive. I drive to a lot of my conventions, to be entirely honest with you. Like, if it's within California, I'm probably driving. If it's in
we're about to
NorCal,
drive
we're literally about to drive from, like,
week.
LA to the Bay. And that's 6 to 8 hours in a sweaty fucking car with all your shit in it. So
yeah.
Also, I'm so sorry. I swear a lot if you haven't noticed.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, and the reason why we bring this up and why it might be important to you, besides just like the whole like logistic aspect of it, is also that like if you're spending, well, okay, this is actually within reason. Like when we went to New York, that was an extreme, like we did pretty well, but it's an extremely expensive convention. As in, flights to New York, anyone can imagine are very expensive. From LAX to New York, or LA to New York, very expensive. New York City is an expensive like city to live in, so hotel costs are expensive, and then food is also very expensive. So if you combine those things together, it's not the raw cost of them being like the worry. It's about how positive are you going to go, because you don't want to do a convention, spend all this time and money, and like go negative. Like that would be very unfortunate, and it happens to people. Like you know, it's not like impossible that you actually lose money after going through all this effort. So that's like why we are trying to tell you guys to set your expectations to be really realistic. And I don't recommend flying across the country for like Anime Expo or Anime NYC or Anime Boston. Never done a convention before. Like that's pretty risky, and I wouldn't personally do that.
Yeah, for reference, for ANYC, we spent, I think, almost $2,000 on like just like expenses, like flight, hotel,
More. Yeah.
And not merch fees, because I'm not even gonna count that.
Yeah.
Food, and that's per person, by the way. 2,000 per person, not just me or not just Joseph. I think we had 3 people total, so it was like 6K plus for just the going.
Yeah, existing there.
Yeah.
Really, really tough, but you know, still good experience. But that I guess besides the point.
How viable would it be? Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, no, continue.
I was just gonna read the chat. It says, "How viable would it be to dwell within my car?"
Dwell within your. Hey man, go for it. Yeah. Sure.
I mean, I also drive to a lot of my cons. I used to have an SUV. Now I drive a tiny car, which has sucked for my experience, but that's okay, I guess.
Yeah. And it's funny we mentioned this because it's like actually a very much part of like the staffing fees, as in like how much you are compensating for people that are helping you, and like things like food. And you might not like you're like, well, of course you need to eat. No, like you're sitting at the convention from, wasn't Anime Boston 9 to 9?
Yes.
Yeah, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. You have to eat something during that time. So it helps a lot to have someone like bring you food while you are doing the transaction, or like I'll get up while Miao takes over, and vice versa when someone has like free time to just get up and get food, because that's tough, right? Like you don't really get to like, the reality of it is you don't really get to experience the convention as an attendee because you're working it. Like it is a more than a 9-to-5 job, like several days in a row, like balls to the wall. You're in there, you're sitting down and doing stuff. You don't really get to have fun doing the other stuff.
Oh, and the exhaustion is exponential per day. Like it just
maybe for you.
Yeah.
I'm joking.
You shut up. I'll talk a little bit about like sharing tables and like how personally I got started and what I'd recommend later when I go over like the booth itself. But yes, I would say like helping someone or sharing a table is definitely a good way to start. Like learning.
All right, cool. I want to move on.
Sure.
So how do you even get in? Like, so like if you're interested, and people are like, yo, this sounds kind of hype. How do I get in?
Yeah, this shit is gotcha, regardless of what the fuck they say. I am
They're-
entirely
they're-
honest.
Yeah, it's
The
Gamba.
system is rigged. But here's what they tell you.
This is what they say.
This is what they say the
The
application
people.
process is. Okay, so the first one is jury. This one's really, really common. This is where you submit an application with your portfolio, shop link, and sometimes an application if it's like fucking Anime Expo, like a written thing where it's like, why is your stuff related to Japanese pop culture? You submit that to the convention, in which they'll be reviewed by an internal jury to determine whether or not you're accepted, waitlisted, or rejected. This is this honestly is probably the most
Black magic.
Yeah, corrupted part of everything, if I'm entirely honest, because a lot of juries will look at your social media following. If you're not big clout, big money, then you're probably not getting it unless you got like some
Your mom owns Nintendo or something, I don't know.
Yeah, right, exactly. So and also like it's really unfortunate to see, but there's a lot of really amazing artists that don't even get into Artist Alley through jury just because of how the system works. People that I think that, you know, definitely 100% deserve to be in Artist Alley just can't get in, and a lot of people struggle to get in, and that's just the reality of it, and that's just it. Jury is hard, for sure.
Yeah, like, and it doesn't even make sense across years to years. Like, so some people that you guys might know, in fact, here too, like Melty, like people that I regularly talk to for like conventions, like Melty Rise, Celtus Art, Lucid Sky, Kane, Miao, and some other people. Literally, it won't make sense. We'll like, assuming we're like applying to relatively large conventions, I will get into one, and maybe one other people won't, and then they'll get into one, and I won't. Like it's really, you'll go crazy trying to figure out why, and I don't think you really should. But like that's just what happens, regardless, right? Like you either get in or you don't.
Yeah.
But that's just how jury works sometimes, and it never hurts to have a good social media standing if this is the case. Not that it's everything, but it does help.
Yeah, and also for like reference, how big of a following is really varied. Like for me, I'm literally sub 1K on both my Twitters. Not really a big social media person, but Joseph's got like over 100K, and
I didn't get into AX.
Yeah.
So
and
it just happens.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I was saying it's gotcha, because there's a lot of factors that go into it, and to be entirely honest, there's not a lot of clarity from the jury side, because every jury is going to be different. Every convention is going to be different about what they want. Yeah, 100K wasn't enough, and also like look at his art. Like why didn't he get into AX? He has first of all, he has convention tabling experience. He has a following. His art is cracked. Like why did he not get into AX? And honestly, we have
There's literally no point in finding out why.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter. It's genuinely.
It's not even like a job application. It feels like more like college apps, to be entirely honest with you.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like I think either way, it's like there's two states. You're either in or you're not. Technically there's it actually is like college apps. They put you on hold actually.
Yeah.
They'll put you on waitlist sometimes.
Some cons have waitlist. Last year for Fanime, I was waitlisted and I got off waitlist a week and a half before Fanime happened. I was already planning on going, so luckily I didn't have to worry about last minute scrambling for like a plane ticket and like preparing all my stuff. But if I had been literally anyone else, or if I had been someone out of state, damn, I would have been absolutely screwed for that.
As an artist, what are the benefits of boothing if you do get accepted? Are you losing money by going? Ideally, no. Is it possible to? Yes.
Yeah.
But like, assuming you get into a relatively popular convention, like you should be pretty good. I think that something like kind of what we talked about before, it depends on how much you put in, and then how much like okay, for example, let's say I know an artist that lives in New York. Actually, like Celtus. She lives on the East Coast, and I believe she has a place to stay very local to the convention. but I live in California. I live in Los Angeles. And so that means that she does not have to pay for housing. The shipping costs for prints or whatever she's being supplied is likely a lot cheaper because she doesn't have to bring it with her. And she just has to drive, right? I have to fly. We have to, like Miao said, I spent thousands of dollars on transportation and like housing alone. So her con experience and my con experience are going to be different just because about like, and vice versa, right? If I'm doing a convention in Los Angeles or Orange County, that will be a lot cheaper for me than it is for her. So what are the benefits? You can make money. Are you losing money? Depends on your situation. I can't really speak to that.
Yeah, it really depends. Like, for perspective, I personally, knock on wood, have not gone in the red for a con yet. But I also had a friend who has also never gone in the red until this year. And she's an absolutely crackeroni artist. Like, she makes bank at cons. And yet she had her first year where she went in the red. So it's really crazy. I can't believe you said that. Listen, I don't mean that I like make hella money every time. There's times where I'm like, shit, man,
Anime California.
It cut it close, okay? But I've never.
Anime California.
I'm not. Don't even say
Genesis?
that. You're literally not allowed. Those are words you're not allowed to say for real. Actually, cannot talk about those cons.
Genesis.
Stop it right now. Literally, just stop. Just stop. Is cons good for publicity and getting your name out at least? It really depends. It depends.
Let's run through like the application process first. And then we'll try to answer those questions as they come up because we definitely are going to cover some of the things you're asking about very, very soon.
Yeah. The next one we'll talk about is first come first serve. You'll see it as FCFS a lot. It's basically a Yeezy's
F5 simulator.
it's like a Yeezy's drop. If it's especially something like Anime Expo.
Up until last year.
Up until this year.
Or this past year.
Yeah, this past year. You basically pray your computer doesn't crash and your autofill is ready because it's war for real. Signups for spots are usually pre-announced and released at a designated time. Sometimes they have a wait list, sometimes they don't. It just depends on the convention. Some people argue this is the most fair fair way to get a table, but also it really lucky. Like, you have to be pretty lucky and pretty on top of it. Like, set alarms, have multiple computers sometimes, like that kind of thing.
Yeah. And then I guess the last one's lottery, which might as well be jury with the way it feels, but you know, that's just how it is sometimes. Like, yeah. But yeah, lottery is just like you apply and then people are randomly picked. I guess something I want to make very, very clear, by the way, while we are giving this explanation and giving this presentation, is some of the things we might say is a little facetious, or you might come off as salty or whatever. That's the only reason why we do that is because every single artist that has worked at Arts Alley has come across something that definitely feels like could have been avoided or unfair, and it's never one person's problem, because whether it's the person coordinating the convention, person funding the convention as a whole, organizing this shit, or other artists, whatever. Like, we're all... It's not easy to run this thing. And if you go to a convention as an attendee, you might have an amazing time, and you might see things as super fancy and official, and to some extent it is, but like the stuff behind like this kind of veil of professionalism is like, it's very difficult. It's very confusing, and everyone that's part of a convention is scrambling. So all we can do as like artists, like individual business people, basically, is like sometimes be frustrated, but of course it's never like one person's like fault or anything like that. Like, that's just how it works from convention to convention.
Also, we definitely pretend we're a lot more salty than we actually are, because that's how we cope. So that's the only way we can cope. There's a hidden fourth application that you won't know as someone who's just entering, which is grandfathering or veteran status. I have been doing this shit for 4 years, and I do not have veteran status anywhere.
This is the people that have been doing this since like the 2014, 2015. Like, I'm talking about like, old.
Usually, veteran status is 10 years of tabling at that specific convention, which is pretty crazy if you think about it. And so newer cons usually won't have it. Newer cons, like Anime Impulse, for example, they did a mini grandfathering system where they give some priority to people who had tabled at prior Anime Impulses.
Or sometimes cons will open up applications to people who have done it before early.
Yes, yes.
That's also kind of grandfathered.
Yeah. And oftentimes if they're doing something where they get like, you get a priority registration as a returning artist, it's usually first come, first serve. So it's usually a little bit of both.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you talked about this, Miao, I forget, but like sometimes in the order in which you get accepted, or there's like an echelon. It's like not all artists are accepted to be the same. Like that's the reality of it, and that means that some people have priority of where they are in the convention. Do you talk about that? I forget.
I don't think so, but you want to go over it?
But yeah, basically, where you are in the convention does have an impact on your sales. Like, so obviously if you get in first and you're on the good boy list, you can sometimes get first pick of what table you like. I got lucky for Fanime and I got the exact same table that I got last year, and it was pretty good, not bad. Or like for Anime NYC, we actually got a pretty good table. We got a corner table near the entrance, and
sometimes
that was
corner tables cost more.
And so, yeah, sometimes corner tables do cost more. But the ability to choose and pick is definitely something people desire. Yeah. But yeah, that's basically it for applying to shows. To answer Aga's question, honestly, it's super region based with conventions and stuff, and you can always look up, like there's like a national, even international list of anime conventions and gaming conventions, or just comic whatever, like fandom conventions across the globe that will be in whatever area that they're for. But like, and you can just apply to them and find out. But I personally would ask people that I know that live in that area and have been to that convention before. Like, the reason why I did Anime Boston is because I know Katie Fox and Melty told me that it was a great convention, and it was a great convention. So I'm inclined to go again, because it was fun.
For Anime Boston too, we had someone in our like aisle that didn't break even. So like, it's
true.
It's honestly really up to what you sell, how you market yourself at the convention, where you're placed, literally fucking everything, right? And there's a lot of little details that go into how much you make at a convention. And part of it is honest to God luck. Is TwitchCon any different than anime conventions? Fuck TwitchCon, sorry. I meant TwitchCon is not intended and not designed for an artist alley. So most artists,
can do well.
You can do well. Most artists though will say that TwitchCon is not really the way you want to go, because tickets are expensive, so there's not as many attendees. And also sometimes I think the booth is like more than Anime Expo too, unless they waived it like last year.
Yeah. And also you have to understand, we'll talk about this again, but the audience does matter. And to answer your specific question, TwitchCon, the people attending TwitchCon are not there for you. Whereas at Anime Expo, I can say for myself as someone who used to be a very like passionate attendee, I would go to conventions just to buy Lucid Sky's artwork. Just like, I'm like, oh my god, I love her work, I'm gonna buy it. Like, and I'm sure that this is true for a lot of other people too. Like, you're there for a very specific reason, and it usually has to do with someone that's creative or like an event or something like that. And for TwitchCon, I'm sorry to say it, but it's genuinely not for artists.
Yeah, and about Comic Cons or literally any kind of convention in general, you want to make sure what you make fits the bill for the convention. So for example, I have friends who went to what is it? E3? No, not E3. What's that one?
Evo.
Evo.
So
I have friends who don't make a lot at Evo because they make anime stuff. But I have a friend that makes like shonen and like fighting game artwork and like video game artwork, and he makes hella money.
Yeah, I know someone that made Guilty Gear stuff for Evo and just kind of balled out. So.
Yeah, so it really depends on whether your stuff matches or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll talk about this for sure as we like get closer to what you should actually be making. But yeah, anyways, let's move on.
Wait, I have one more question.
Oh, what?
From Eddie. What kind of answer should you write for this? How is your art promotes the Japanese culture and etc.? That sounds like a tricky question. Honestly, I think these questions
that's BS.
It's just
so
bullshit.
BS.
It's honestly like there's no way you can really answer this. You know, we make jokes about like, oh, you could just just be like, oh, well, you know, as a Southeast Asian artist who comes from an immigrant family, I just really want my art.
I love anime.
I love anime, and I feel like it promotes my own culture as well as Japan. You know, like that kind of thing. It really, I think those questions are bullshit, and you just kind of gotta try your best.
I mean, answer as truthfully as you like, but just know that probably won't be the deciding factor in whether or not you get in. So don't take it too seriously. I think for one convention, I forgot what it was. I think I posted like a meme and I got in. So make of that what you will. Don't take it too seriously. But yeah, anyways, like let's move on. I think we can literally just list this off. There's nothing too much to discuss here. Like these are like the basic categories of merch that you can make and some of the pros and cons.
Yeah, so we'll just do a quick rundown, and we'll just go into like the beginner friendly stuff more specifically, just so kind of to give a reason why we say these are beginner friendly. But you got like your stickers and decals. There's like at home printing and hand cutting them. I have friends that literally hand cut their stickers at the con. At home print and sticker cutter, which is like if you have a cry cut or a silhouette, or if you outsource and produce it from a manufacturer. These tend to have a medium to medium high profit margin because stickers are relatively cheap to make, but also relatively cheap to sell. So it's a pretty safe pick, and a lot of people collect stickers and get stickers for various things, whether it be for their car, their water bottle, their laptop, whatever it may be. Stickers are just really popular, so it's a pretty safe pick, and they're really transportable, which is really good when we were talking about earlier, like we were talking about earlier with travel. They're not very heavy. You can bring a lot of them. It's a pretty easy thing to bring. And there tends to be, if you're outsourcing, a pretty low or flexible minimum order quantity, which is MOQ, by the way, and a low effort setup.
Yeah.
And that's why we say it's a beginner friendly thing, because it's so low effort in terms of production. It's not a huge commitment. The next thing is acrylic goods. So there's different things for acrylic goods. I'm sure you've seen them if you've gone to a convention or even like scrolled through Etsy. There's acrylic charms, standees, shaker charms, or special acrylic goods like pencil stand, phone stand, acrylic pins, and all these kinds of things. These have a pretty high profit margin because they are relatively cheap to make. Yeah, those relatively cheap to make, and you price them at a. If you price them at market value, you make a decent amount off of it. And because of that, it's also a relatively safe pick. They're very common, they're very popular, people collect them.
They're so cute. It's all I buy, actually.
I actually don't collect them anymore because I have I have a whole box. I have so many.
Oh, well,
dude,
okay,
they're so cute.
They're so cute.
They're so cute. I can't help it. They're just cute. But
they're really fucking cute.
I say I don't collect them anymore, but I definitely still buy them anyway. But...
You definitely don't say no when someone asks for a trade.
Yeah, for real.
So cute.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
They are relatively transportable because they're small, but they are heavy. Plastic is heavy. So for reference, I have 6 bins of acrylic charm, or no, 4 bins of acrylic charms and 2 enamel pins, and that's like 50 pounds on its own.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Pretty easy to pack too, actually.
Yeah, they're pretty easy to pack. There's like definitely a lot of tips and tricks you can go about to get better.
And you've got to talk about the fact that these are almost indestructible.
Oh,
you
yeah.
cannot break these things.
Wait, you can drop a link to the video I.
There's a link of Miao putting their entire weight on one of the acrylic tags that I have, and it just won't snap.
Yeah.
Unlike some other things that are much more like you can tear stickers, you can tear prints, like God, you I don't know, other things that people have that can go wrong. Like imagine you bring a shirt and it gets stained all of a sudden, like
Yeah.
it's pretty much fucked. But like charms, like most of them come with like, I didn't peel this one off, but like there's like a plastic film over it that protects it. So I personally love acrylic goods. As a person who buys them, I don't make that much of it. But yeah. Anyways,
Also, though,
nail are pretty good too.
you have shot, or no, you got shot. Your
I
UAV
got
shot.
wait, people don't know about.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. The only way one of mine broke is someone full autoed my Mia with a BB gun, with an airsoft gun, and that's how she broke. That was, anyways. So, that's so like a side point.
Sorry. Yeah, but in terms of durable, like that's the only way I've actually ever heard someone break the charm, ever. Like that's the only acrylic charm where the actual acrylic has broken. So usually what will break first is the clasp, and even then they've gotten a lot better at producing and making them. So yeah.
Actually, really quickly, just to describe like why. Oh, stickers are also pretty good too. Like I have them on my water bottle just as example. Like the quality will also depend. Like this is an old sticker that I made, and it's like super giga faded. But like if you invest a little bit more, like this has been on my like water bottle for years, and like it's still looking still pretty good. So, I mean, like, I genuinely think that the durability of your merchandise is definitely a factor, just because like things can go wrong, you know, things fall, like, oh my god, the number of times you will at least see one person's stand fall at a convention.
No, I hate that.
I mean, that's fucked, but
true.
yeah, like it'll
true.
happen. So, yeah. But yeah, anyways, you're the enamel pins person.
Yeah. All right. So enamel pins. I'll mention this later too, but this is like a little bit higher tier of both experience and price, because they are pretty expensive. So there's two primary variations of enamel pins. There's soft enamel, which is the stuff that you usually see at like souvenir shops and stuff like that. It's like I wish I put a fucking picture. Like indented, not indent, like you can see the metal,
like
basically.
Yeah, like the
the enamel is concave versus hard enamel where it's smooth.
I'll grab mine.
Yeah, okay. Hard enamel is definitely more popular in Artist Alley now, but hard enamel is, first of all, substantially more expensive to manufacture than soft enamel. But on top of that, it can't be made in the United States, because that's what the machinery they use to make hard enamel is what they use to mint like coins in the United States. So you actually have to outsource them, usually from China. So just as an FYI, you have to pay a buttload for shipping for that reason too. There's also specialty enamels.
Yeah, this is Miao's, by the way. This is I really like it.
Yeah. It's my favorite thing that I made. It's currently out of stock if you want it. I'm sorry. You can
Only.
Yeah.
Chill.
Yeah,
Cringe.
actually, yeah, you know what? Listen.
Shut up. Continue.
Okay. I said
Okay. All right.
yeah,
Cool, dude.
Yeah. Well, also, like, as you saw, there was like glitter on it. That's like specialty enamels. There's like glitter, there's pearlescence, there's glow in the dark. There's a lot of different things. But again, the price for each of those, each color of that specialty enamel you use hikes up the price.
Yeah.
And then there's also screen printing, which is basically just when they print like designs that don't need to be held together by the metal. So there's a low to medium profit margin. Despite how expensive enamel pins are, the profit margin is actually pretty small, because the first time, especially that you the first time that you manufacture an enamel pin, you have to pay for a mold fee and like setup fee. So it's going to cost more.
Also, manufacturers can fuck your shit up.
Yeah, right. And so the profit margin is lower than something like acrylic goods, even though they're being sold for about the same price. So that's why I listed it as a medium risk pick, because people now especially really like collecting enamel pins, but there's also the fact that if it doesn't move, it's doomed. If it like but and what I mean by it doesn't move is if it doesn't sell, it's kind of hard because there's not really a way to get rid of them. If your manufacturer fucks them up, then you're also fucked. And they're also very difficult to transport because they're heavy. Each pin, I don't know. I have my 2 enamel pin bins weighs more than my 4 acrylic charm bins, for reference. And the thing that makes it also pretty difficult is that it has a high minimum order quantity, and also has a higher complexity setup. I'll talk a little bit specifically about like the design process of this, but for enamel pins, you have to pay for the mold fee, and on top of that, if you don't order at most places more than 100 pieces, you have to pay a small batch fee, which is crazy. It's insane. So you want to commit.
It's very specialized.
Yeah, it's pretty specialized. That's why I think if you see people who sell enamel pins, they'll usually sell more than 1 or 2, because it's just way easier to full send into it if you've done it before than
Shit,
to
you
not.
want to tell Waifu how much an upfront cost for an entire order is?
So recently,
Relatively?
so recently,
Give a ballpark, give a ballpark.
Yeah. Recently, I put in an order for 300 pins, 3 different designs, and it was almost $1,000, including the shipping. And that's because I have an established relationship with this manufacturer, by the way.
That's
so
cheap,
that's
by the way.
pretty cheap. But alternatively, I know people who spend several thousand on less pieces and less designs. So sometimes you can get fucked, which is why a little bit later or like on the next slide, I think I'll talk about what you should talk about with your manufacturer before producing them.
You can just skim over prints, I'll talk about that, but basically prints are broken, and if you're doing prints, money printer a little bit in a certain way, because paper costs literally $1. Like a good paper costs less than $1 to print. And yeah, prints are broken. Like if you're going to be doing prints.
Yeah,
but
plus they're very
again,
transportable, but they get heavy with the quantity.
Oh my god. 100 sheets, 200 sheets of paper, like it's like that, and it's like dense. It is dense. Very, very, very dense. It's actually, I would say, like per per liter, like volume of like a box, it is the most dense out of all of these. Like when Zeke sends me a box full of paper, it's like lead brick, basically, because there's just so much stuff. But yeah, anyways,
one nice thing about them,
goods.
Oh, I was gonna say one nice thing about them, and I only say this because my friends have said this. If your prints, you feel like they suck ass, you can recycle them. Holy shit, you could just get rid of that stuff.
You can.
So it's not like you're stuck with a bunch of dead stock. You can get rid of it in one way or another. Yeah, usually.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna get too far into specialized goods because it's, again, I don't think that this is a very beginner-friendly thing to go into in the first place, but these examples are apparel, stationery goods, tote bags, plushies, notebooks. Their profit margins are pretty varied, but usually relatively low. Dockies also specialized.
Jesus.
Often difficult to transport due to their higher minimum order quantity, and oftentimes you have to follow a template based that your manufacturer gives you in order to even manufacture these. I think these are honestly the thing that is hardest to get into, and even like for me, I don't do most of these because it's just a lot to put in.
Friendly at all.
It's also not always worth it because it's really gamba on whether or not you can sell these things, because not everyone wants these kind of things in the first place.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Zeke has some questions for us to answer. So before we flip it over, what's up? What we got?
You can just switch to the next slide so you can go over the tiers.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, wow, look at that. Yeah, this basically goes over the whole thing. What do you know? Very cute. I like this. That's so nice.
Yeah, I got it from Xan of Arc on Twitter. I saw it and I saved it, and I was like, it's very nice. This is a very nice...
Yeah. Lanyards, art prints. Man, I still want to make jet tags. Those are so cool. Jet tags are so cool.
Yeah, so these are just like the merchandise tiers, but we can go over the questions.
But yeah, otherwise we can keep moving if Zeke
Oh,
I'm
Zeke
not
says...
sure if you're just gonna copy paste or DM it.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Alright, how do you handle print sizes? Oh, we'll talk about that. I'm not gonna talk about that here. If we're talking about prints, yeah, that is its own thing. Yeah. Are you gonna show how presentable
Yes.
print's more presentable? Yes, we'll also talk about that. How do you gauge how big a con is so you don't get too much for a con that might be small?
You can usually Google what the attendance size is for a convention. I usually do that so I know how much stock to bring to a con. And usually the best way to think about this is there's like approximately 3 tiers of cons. There's the like local con, which is you're going to be your lowest stock that you bring. Something that's relatively easy to transport and bring stuff to. There's like the medium-sized cons, which are something like Anime Impulse, where it's not a huge gigacon like Anime Expo, but it has pretty solid attendance and pretty reliable attendance. And then there's like the gigacons like Anime Expo.
I consider Fanime pretty big.
Anime actually I think is actually a mid-range con. It actually is a mid-range con in terms of attendance,
Feels
but
so big.
it makes a lot of money because big Silicon Valley tech money.
Okay, yeah, so I'd say yeah, Anime Expo, Momo.
Yeah, Momo.
SoccerCon.
Yep.
Not Mag. God. ASEN.
7K is small. 7K
ASEN?
is small. Yeah, ASEN is also a big
big.
one.
Anime NYC is big.
Yeah. Anime Boston's also big.
Yeah, Anime Boston's pretty big. Honestly, like I really want you guys to ask around, like ask your friends who have been there, or ask some artists that have done them, because again, we try to stay within the state if we can, unless it's a really big con. It's not like, okay, it makes no sense for us to go to a local con in like Virginia. Like that would be really silly, because we might do well there, but it won't be proportionally smart to do. So we only try to do the conventions that are worth our time and effort to prepare for. The saving grace, though, for most conventions is that if you buy too much stuff, you can just hold on to it, and it will retain its value. So, like, if I don't sell all my out, like, you're not gonna sell out of absolutely everything generally. So whatever whatever prints that you still have left over, or stickers or whatever, they will. It's not like food. You can sell it again at your next convention or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let's.
There's one more question.
Oh yeah.
How do you determine what kind of art to bring versus what not to bring?
That is convention dependent.
Yeah.
And you dependent.
And we talked a little bit about that one in the beginning about like finding your niche and whatnot. So.
I talk about that with the prints as well, because I would assume Aga, you would generally be doing the more beginner-friendly stuff. In fact, honestly, I am still doing beginner-friendly stuff. The only reason why I ever dip into doing acrylics, which is the fanciest thing I do, is because Miao, like, lets me in on like, yeah. So, and that's actually not very uncommon, because of like MOQ. A lot of artists will try to band together and like order like a bajillion like whatevers, but then split it amongst a bajillion artists so that the individual cost is a little cheaper.
Yeah, group orders.
Yeah, group orders. There you go.
Yeah.
We can talk about that a little bit more later with like the specific stuff. But in terms of what you should and should not do, that's really up to you. Okay.
We're gonna do a quick thing about communicating with manufacturers real quick, just so you know, if you decide to move towards outsourcing, these are questions that you want to ask your manufacturers before producing with them. First of all is MOQ, which is minimum order quantity. You want to make sure you can afford what they're selling or what you want to sell. Any applicable fees, so sometimes there's mold fees, there's screen print fees, there's first-time production fees, and all these kind of things. Want to make sure you're upfront about what kind of fees they're gonna charge you for. You want to also check what price per unit is, so then you can basically multiply your order quantity with the price per unit, or minimum order quantity with the price per unit, so you understand. If they have a deadline guarantee, this one I think is very important to me personally, because I do so many shows. I always ask, even when I'm producing with a manufacturer that I've done before, I always check, can you get me my shit in time for my next show, which is this. And I always give a several days wiggle room. Can you get this for me? Because otherwise, You might get to a con and not have your stuff, and that is the worst feeling.
Yeah.
I've had that happen to me last year at Anime Impulse OC. I didn't have like 90% of my stock, which made that con really smudge for me. I was actually so depressed the whole time.
I was so smudged.
Yeah. You want to also ask about turnaround time. This is kind of the same thing about deadline guarantee, but you cannot set your deadline before like shorter than their turnaround time. That's just not fair to them or yourself. Also, what shipping method they use and what carrier. This is just for your reference and to know essentially how long something will take you.
Sometimes shipping costs more than the thing you bought.
That's also true. And sometimes too, some carriers are more reliable than others, but all of them honestly are a little bit unreliable. You want to also, especially for things like enamel pins or apparel or anything like that, you want to ask what their flaw rate is. If it's above, I would honestly say like 2 or 3%, I would find another manufacturer. I, honest to God, am not okay with like anything higher than that. If you're new, sometimes it's okay, but I've had bad experiences where my very first enamel pins, it was like 80% flaw, and it like even though they promised me like 5%, it was 80%, and it was actually the worst feeling ever. I got them remade recently, and they look super pretty, and like, I originally was not even planning on remaking these pins because I was so distraught about how they turned out that I felt like it was a design issue. But it's not. It's honestly a manufacturer diff. So yeah, and then you also, because of that, want to make sure you contact them before about their remake policy. Make sure that they either reimburse you in its entirety, like that like you will make sure you get your money back, or that they'll remake you your stuff. And to ensure that, you want to make them sign a contract. So for manufacturers, for enamel pin manufacturers, I make them sign a contract to guarantee that they will remake stuff for me. Recently, I also had pins that basically came to me unfinished, and I was pretty pissed about that. Yeah, and they looked really bad, but my manufacturer remade the whole 300 for me and shipped it, everything completely for paid. How likely is it for them to remake your stuff? It just depends on the manufacturer.
And by the way, guys, like, as you're listening to this, some of it might be flying over your head, but the reason why it's so important to us, especially, like, I mean, Miao specifically, is that, like they said, they're spending thousands of dollars on this stuff. So if you're spending thousands of dollars, you better be getting thousands of dollars worth of your value, you know? Like it's, they need to do their job. You're just trying to get your money's worth. So this stuff is not cheap. And, you know, they definitely know that, as long as well with anyone else doing this type of merchandise. But yeah, that's like the kind of perspective I want you all to like understand. So yeah.
Also, like,
it's expensive.
just in general too, you have to remember if like something happens with your package. That's why I say make sure you try to like ask what the carrier is, so you know what their reimbursement fee is, because realistically, maybe you might be spending $2,000 on the merchandise, but that is $10,000 worth of merchandise, because that's what its sell rate is. So most carriers will not guarantee you $10,000 worth of stuff. So you want to be sure as hell that your stuff gets to you all right.
Can you contact specific? Okay, to answer that question, it's simply as possible. Yeah, you want to find a like I'm not really in this, but like Miao can definitely corroborate that finding a manufacturer that will work with you about certain things is good. I'm not sure what you'd be getting from Staples besides like prints, but like even then, like I wouldn't recommend. Like
most people just use like Staples or FedEx for like emergency if they ran out of stock.
Emergency stuff. Yeah. It's anyways, yeah, but that should cover that, right?
Yes.
This stuff is pretty a little spooky, very high risk, high reward, but you know, it's all part of the process. Okay.
I think it's
understanding artwork and design.
And then I think after this is your slide. So
yeah.
So stickers and decals, as we mentioned earlier, it's pretty flexible with the design because you can kind of do whatever the fuck you want with them. You can go with no bleed or bleed. No bleed is stuff usually like peekers and decals and whatnot. But bleed is like the typical sticker that you would get from like anywhere where it has like the little white border or whatsoever. And then also just like understanding the difference between sticker sheets, decals versus die cut stickers. These things will basically just tell you like what market you're gonna try to dip yourself into. I like how that you just covered the slide with your face. And then there's like acrylic goods. So there's single or double-sided. Most people do double-sided charms. Some people do 2 sides are different. I've gotten pretty lazy about this and personally just do the same artwork on both sides, but I used to go hard and do different things. It just depends. It's just not time efficient to do 2 different things on different sides, but some people really like that, and sometimes that's a selling point. And then also knowing whether or not you want to use any specialty acrylics or just the standard clear acrylic. There's a lot of flexibility of design with acrylic goods because it's printed artwork on acrylic, so you don't have to worry about something. Usually you don't have to worry about something not like being produced correctly in terms of the actual artwork unless it's just color. And then for charms, in terms of like personalization, you can get things like different kinds of clasps. There's like the standard metal D clasps or like the colored ones or phone straps or like those cute little star clasps or whatever it is. There's a lot of flexibility with that too. So they can be personalized to a pretty high degree. Enamel pins, as I mentioned earlier, they're a little bit harder to manufacture because they have a more specialized process. You're limited on the colors you can use. You know when you draw and you just like throw all these colors in and you're just not really thinking about that? Yeah, actually you have to use Pantone solid coated colors only. If your color is not solid color coded, then you are going to have to convert it yourself. Otherwise they'll charge you for having to do that for you.
That's why I don't do them.
Yeah.
I can't.
And then also for things like the actual artwork, your lines are the metal parts, so you want to make sure your line weight is heavy enough to transfer to a solid piece of metal where, very important, that the enamel when it's filled doesn't fill over the metal. So you want to make sure your lines are heavy enough that you can see them. So you have a minimum like pixel that you need, or like size that you need to make these. And the same thing with enamel pin or enamel fill size. You can't have tiny little pockets where you try to fill it, because otherwise you're gonna have a higher flaw rate just in general. That's just how it be. We'll skip prints because it's just gonna go after that, but specialized goods, this topic is too honestly complicated, so you should just research this on your own. Because it's super, yeah.
Honestly, and I would say, like, just to speak about most of the specialized goods, like, we will talk a lot about efficiency and money and things that are literally indisputable, like MOQ, stuff like that. Like, you just gotta follow the rules, right? But like some of this stuff, like, well, why would you make charms if pins if it's so shit, like, and it's like a high quality, like, well, because it's fun, you know? It's like it's cute, like, you want to see your OC, your favorite character as a pin, like, someone's got to make it, right? And like, if you're an artist, like, sometimes that person can be you. Like that, like, just as goes with any sort of merchandise, like, it should, in my opinion, stem from a place of love and passion to like make the thing that you want to make and sell it to people that want to buy it, right? It's not just about the money, Spider-Man. So, like, you know, just how it is.
Yeah. I just wanted to say this real quick. How I approached making merch in the first place was, I basically was like, if I end up with X number of these acrylic charms of this character that I drew, would I be okay with it? Like, would I be okay with just having like 50 Lucinas that nobody else wants? The answer is yes, because I love Lucina. But that's kind of why when you start out, it's good to start with things that you personally love. Like, would you want to own this? Would you want to own what you're making? And if you get stuck with it, is that okay with you? So.
Yeah. Okay, time for like a meaty bit, which is prints, just because prints are prints, and they're arguably the largest form factor merchandise that you can produce at a convention for the most part. So yeah, let's talk pretty quick about this. I'm trying to not take too much time with this and go through as many questions as possible if it finishes loading. Yeah, okay. And I'll try to answer questions about this as it goes. And I think because Miao has done prints as well, but like, we both have friends that have been doing conventions for longer than both of us combined and are very, very, very successful. that they can add input as well. So basically, what do you want to draw for convention? This is like the basic rundown of like what to draw, how to draw it, and like why, all that stuff. So I would say there's 3 main things that go into understanding what to draw. And by the way, these things are things that I do not personally follow to a T because I have my own personal goals for my own art, which is aside from convention. So don't necessarily look at my artwork as like the prime example. I'm actually talking about this from a consumer's point of view, like as someone who used to go to like Anime Expo every single year before I even started drawing. Like this is the stuff that I personally love and I love to see. And what I see at a convention that does well. So like all the examples I'll be using is actually not me whatsoever, except for some small things here and there. Okay, so first one is understanding the meta, and then understanding your niche, and then understanding your skill level, which includes like how much can you draw, like how many things, like can you draw like the entire Persona 5 cast, like Xenoblade characters, like all of them, you know, I'm talking about all of them because sometimes people do that. How fast can you draw? Like can you crank out like this character in 1 day, 2 days, a week, a month? Like how long do you take to draw one thing? And then the quality of the art, it's like how much effort are you putting into singular drawing? And you know, are they basically like glorified sketches? Are they like fully fleshed out industry ready illustrations? Like how much effort is in there? And then the fourth, in my opinion, like the most important thing above all else is like, what are you willing to draw? Like we said before, you should be drawing for fun. And if it's not fun, then low key it's gonna show. But like also from a burnout point of view, like you want to, if you're trying to make this your thing or a side thing, like you want to have fun while doing it. So make it fun, right? It's not like, again, not just about the money or like the business aspect of things.
Also, in terms of how fast you can draw, just like real quick, and this applies to all merchandise things, is what you spend the most amount of time on is probably not going to be your bestseller usually. Especially for merch that's not prints. This is especially applicable. Like, for example, my enamel pins. There's some enamel pins that I've made that I've spent hours and hours and hours on, and it doesn't move. It doesn't move very well. But sometimes there are cases like, for example, the Lucina pin where I've spent too much time on it that does really well. So it's pretty varied, but there are things that I sell, like my mascot charts, for example. I want to say I can chug out 3 of them in an hour, and those sell like crazy. So it really depends, and you have to be okay with that too. Because honest to God, it doesn't feel great when you spend a lot of time on something and it just doesn't sell well. So you have to be prepared for that, like mentally prepared for your stuff. Like what your favorite stuff is may not sell as good as stuff that is not your favorite stuff. So it just really depends.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, so this is like understanding the meta, and I think you'd be stupid to like deny that a meta exists. Like, and especially for those people in chat who are on social media, like you understand that there are certain things that just do well because of the IP, not necessarily because of like anything else. Like, you know, you draw this thing and it's a popular thing, so it's more likely to do well numbers wise. And conventions is similar. So I would say is meta is like knowing the general audience, like knowing weebs, knowing gamers, knowing people who enjoy certain fandoms, right? I don't think this needs too much explanation, but like understanding what the trending IPs are. Like everyone knows that Genshin is really hot right now. Arknights is really hot right now. Like, or it's another gacha that's popular, right? Like currently airing popular animes and games. Like, God, you will see so much Spy Family, Cyberpunk, Oshinoko, Jujutsu Kaisen, Demon Slayer, Chainsaw Man, Attack on Titan. Like, come on, like you see this stuff everywhere, and I would bet thousands of dollars that you will see at least one of these things at your anime convention, whatever you're going to. Like, it will be there. And then there are things that I forgot what my friend called it, but there are basically eternal, like things you will draw and someone's gonna like it. And 3 characters I will mention after the fact, but specifically, but like anime, like think about like Bleach, Naruto. Bleach is actually back. Bleach, Naruto, One Piece, like all have their very specific fandoms from people of all ages, because people that grew up with Naruto are probably much older now, and then they're, you know, Boruto is still a thing that younger people might like. Same with One Piece, it's still ongoing. Bleach has just come back, so a younger audience might be interested in Bleach as well. So these are anime that will like please a lot of people from all different age ranges. Dragon Ball, I mean Dragon Ball like is eternal. It's a really old IP. Dragon Ball Super is a lot newer, and there's a lot of really good Dragon Ball movies that have come back out in the past few years. So it's still getting a lot of support. Full Metal Alchemist is just a classic. Same with Neon Genesis Evangelion. Like, they're classics. People still love them. Same with Hunter x Hunter. Like, I feel like Gon and Killua are icons in the anime space. So drawing them is both fun, in my opinion, and a lot of other people like them just out of recognition. And then Pokemon. I mean, it's Pokemon. JoJo, same thing. And then like games, I would say like Persona 5 just always does well. There is enough to be fan art to like feed the planet 10 times over, and same with Final Fantasy, particularly the newer Final Fantasy games and IPs, and Final Fantasy 7 in particular. Like people love Cloud, Tifa, like Sephiroth, yeah, all those people, right? Stuff like that.
Smash characters too.
You know, funny you say that. I actually didn't put that here because I feel like Smash is its own like.
That's fair.
It's actually in its own niche. But you know, I would agree that there are like at least the IPs that a lot of those characters come from are just popular and will always be popular. And then something to understand in the least toxic way possible is that if your goal again is to just make money, understand that if you draw a popular character, you're not the only one drawing that character. And not to say that just because one person buys one person's Kafka, they won't buy yours, but understand that like I don't think that like you have to understand that other people will be buying it, and just because you draw a popular character doesn't mean that they will buy it from you. Like, I think personally, when I draw Genshin stuff for the sake of selling to Genshin fans at Fanime or like conventions, I get gapped by like other people that it's their thing. So I can speak from personal experience that my Genshin stuff does not do nearly as well as my Persona stuff, because why would someone buy my Genshin stuff when they can buy Melty's Genshin stuff? And I'm gonna say that just to myself, because I would also be purchasing Melty's stuff over my stuff. That's just my bias. But like, understand that that's a thing that just happens. And like, when you enter like the meta, you are also like, it's the double-edged sword with like entering something that's just inherently popular to absolutely everyone.
Yeah.
I will say that for a long time, not so true anymore, but 2B, it was like a true combo. Rem, 2B, and Bowsette used to be just, you couldn't not make money from those characters, but I don't think that's so much the case anymore. But it's funny to bring up just because like there are certain characters that are just popular no matter what. Like everyone will recognize them even if they don't know the anime it's from. They'll see it.
Also in terms of like competition and redundancy, like the whole thing that we brought up earlier about whether or not you also like this stuff kind of applies here, because sometimes, look, bro, I feel like sometimes customers vibe check you. They
do.
They try to see if you actually like the content you're making. No, like you say it's probably yeah, you say it's VTubers, but a lot of my content is VTubers, and whenever I leave the booth and it's Joseph, bro, I feel like all the fucking VTuber fans like vibe check Joseph.
Sorry.
Like they're like, "Are you sure you like VTubers? Like, why do you have VTuber content?" And he's like,
I'm
"It's
sorry.
not mine. It's not mine."
It's not mine.
Yeah, so you know, like it's pretty important, and yeah, I agree that VTubers are very trending right now.
Oh, I'll talk about that in the next slide, actually.
Oh, okay, Pog.
Yeah. But yeah, that's like the main point is like, I want to continuously reiterate, like, please draw what you want, but you cannot also deny that the meta doesn't exist. All right, next thing is the niche, is like knowing your audience. And I would say like, if you want some of the stuff, it's specialized artwork for a starving audience, like at its core, right? The best feeling that I get and that rewards me both they pay, they buy my stuff, and like it feels good. It's like, whoa, you drew this character? Holy crap, I don't see this character anywhere else. Like, that's crazy. Like, and that feels amazing because like for a while, like if you're just like the starving whatever simp, then like you never see insert character at a convention, or like you don't see anyone else giving them as much love as you do. Like for me, I look for every single Sarah charm there is at a convention. I will look for it because I love her, and she's not a very popular character, but I like her a lot.
Yeah, it was a scavenger hunt.
It is a scavenger hunt. From as like me as the artist, like a lot of people realize like, oh, you drew the female MC for Persona 3? No one draws that character. And personally, I only know of like only a couple other artists that draw her, and I love her a lot, and I love her design. So back when I was like an attendee, I would always look for Persona 3 merch, and I could never find it, so I drew it. So I'm glad that other people have that same reaction. And of course, that's just like a singular example.
Oh, someone said, I feel like sticking to a niche is so hard, it's tough finding something to commit to. Okay, I'm gonna give an example. Last year, at Fanime, not this year, last year at Fanime, I was one of 4 Niji Sanji artists at Fanime, and I made bank from it because, like, no one made Niji stuff at the time. But this year, I am not. There was, like, every other table had Niji stuff. But because I've already established myself as someone who does VTuber art and established myself as someone who genuinely loves and cares about, like, the stuff that I'm drawing, I still made a lot of money off of it. Like, it still sells really well. So, although it may seem tough to stick to a niche, if you genuinely care about it, I don't think it matters all that much.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. Like, it shouldn't be about, like, committing to it because, like, other pressures are. Like, when I first started out doing merchandise and, like, drawing, like, Persona was my jam. I love drawing Persona. You didn't have to pay me to draw Persona stuff. I love drawing it no matter what. So, and like, I didn't feel like I had to commit to it. I just drew it because it was fun. And then I'm glad that other people enjoy my enjoyment of the IP. Like, and yeah, it's high risk, high reward. There are sometimes conventions where my Persona stuff does not sell nearly as well. But that's just a part of being a turbo fan of something very hyper specific. Like, my God, Panty and Stocking, like that's such a turbo niche thing from like a show that basically got canceled and in like most parts of the world, and only a few people know about it, but like on social media and at conventions, people love it. And I literally started watching it because it popped up in my recommended when I was like browsing like Funimation, and I just loved the show, so I drew it. So I don't feel like I'm committing to it or like drawing it because I'm trying to squeeze out monetary gain from it. Like this is truly like just like a product of my love for it. And I think that's how you have to view it if you own a niche. Like if you feel like, oh, no one's buying my shit, then draw it some more and keep drawing it and draw it some more. And when you feel like you haven't drawn enough because you don't like just keep drawing it, because other people will eventually recognize you as like the Xenoblade person. Like Gigi is the Xenoblade person. Like Niku Senpai is the like Square Enix guy, like Final Fantasy and like Kingdom Hearts. Like I can't think of another like Kingdom Hearts artist that I respect as much as him, like just personally. Like that's what I'm saying, right? And he doesn't do it because it makes him bank necessarily. It's because he loves the IP and that's his niche. So that's why I said this is your audience. If people don't want to buy it, then they're not part of your audience. That's just how the ball rolls. And I guess a part of this, again, is you can't count on social media outreach to translate to in-person sales, because I have X number of followers, Miao has X number of followers. Do you think anyone gives a fuck about what that number is when the merchandise is in front of your face and you have like $50 to blow? Like, no one's looking at my Twitter profile as they're looking at my table, generally, right? Like, it's, do you like the stuff? If you do, then they buy it. If they don't like it, then they'll keep walking. So I would say like 1 out of like every 100 interactions, maybe I'll have someone go, "Oh my God, you're Kuno. I follow you on Twitter." Like it happens, but sometimes they don't even buy anything, and that's fine. Like but I would say like that's not what drives people to buy my stuff. It's like because they know me on social media. It's not ever that. It's like, oh, your stuff looks great, here's money. Yeah, I would say that, like, that's like how it happens. Like, I can speak for Mo's from Mo's perspective, who I helped out at Anime Expo. Dude, no one else is drawing Muslim Goku. No one else is drawing Frieza talking to Uncle Ruckus. Like, like, that's just fucking funny. You don't have to know Mo online or be a fan of, like, it's just funny and it's cool and no one else is doing it. Like, I'm telling you, like, it's because it's like it's a product of like passion and love for the art. So that's like knowing your audience. And to like be specific about it, like cult RPGs, I would say VTubers fall into this. I didn't want to talk too much about VTubers, but like, yeah, VTubers, it's like you can't just randomly draw Gura nowadays and hope it sells. Like, it's like there are very passionate followings for very specific people. Like, just because you are a fan of one VTuber does not mean that you are a fan of another. So if you make a bunch of Alira merch and Enna merch and whatever Niji merch, does not mean that someone that loves Crony will buy your art because they're a Crony person and not an Enna person. Like, that's just how it is. It's VTubing is too broad of a genre. It's not even a genre. It's like VTubing it's too broad of a category to generalize. Like, you just can't. And I learned this firsthand. Like, oh my god, like someone's like, hi, I'll have all of this entire generation of VTubers and no others. Like, they don't give a fuck about any of the others. I want this one because that's the one that they like.
Yeah, people will literally come up to you and be like, okay, how much stuff do you have of X VTuber? And I'm like this many things. And they're like, all right, fuck me up, bro. Just give me everything. And I look at them and I'm like, that's like several $100s worth of stuff. And they're like, fuck me up, bro. Just give it to me.
Yep. So I would say VTubing is not the cash cow that you think it might be as like from an outsider. You actually have to like realize that people love that creator and they treat them as their own, which they should be, but like that's the one that they love. And I'd say like I guess a side thing that is kind of a product of us being individual artists is like having a unique and unconventional style, or like having your own style that you own. Like, I don't know. I feel like I draw the way I want because I want to look the way I want, and that might mean something different for like Aga, might mean something different for Mo, might be something different for you, whoever is watching this and wants to make art. Like, everyone that participates in doing this stuff like will have their own look, and I would argue that don't try to change yourself or your work just to make another sale, because people will see through that. All right, moving on. Okay, if people know me from social media or from my Discord, or just know me as like a person that loves to talk about learning art, this is where everything stops, because in my opinion, there's a very, very low skill barrier to entry. And I think that it's great that conventions are open to literally everyone, regardless of their perceived skill level. Like, this is not the entertainment industry. They're not giving you an art test to get in here. Like, you don't have to draw boxes to make it Fanime or Anime Expo, right? And the rule of thumb is, if it looks good, it is good. People will buy it. Like I think the subject matter, like, and like how you personally express it and how you make it look good is more important than any sort of like objective sense of looking at artwork, because there's no point, right? It's merchandise. People will like it, and then they will like it, and then they'll buy it. I would say the most amount of skill comes from prep, and like, which is why I talked about like how fast are you? Like, if you're trying to just min max your efficiency and how much merchandise you can make and how good it can look, like, it's like, how can you, I'm just gonna read this off, maximize the prep time to put out the most new artwork at the highest quality you can afford in the shortest time possible. And sometimes this means, like Niku Senpai, staying up into the wee hours of the morning, streaming, drawing the entire Persona 5 cast, or drawing every single Genshin character, or drawing every single Honkai character. Like, he will do that. And, you know, other people are very similar. Like, it's and like, he's a fantastic artist. So for him, he knows how to min-max his workflow to fit the bill before a big convention, right? It's not necessarily about me being like critiquing his work or whatever like that. That just makes no sense. it's very purposeful. And I think that a lot of successful artists that go to conventions will agree that like you're making merchandise and it's supposed to look good. And whether or not it's how good you are, it has nothing to do here. Like I will say, people like again, the average convention attendee cares more about what you draw than exactly like how good it looks. Like people will just buy whatever character because like, oh my god, you have this character, they'll just buy it, you know. That's what I'm saying. Okay. But that's enough about skill level. That's really irrelevant. I really want to like emphasize that. Okay, so let's talk about quality and like what you do care, and like maybe you are at the skill level where you can start thinking about composition and like very particular appeal for artwork. And this is for people that are willing to put in the extra effort to make their artwork just that much better. And if it means the difference between making a sale and not making a sale, then this is definitely for you. And I would break it down to 3 things for specifically for cons, and it's composition, color, and lighting choice, and then consistency. All right, so composition, it's making good art look gooder. It doesn't matter how good you are already, like looking at the people that I know in the chat. I know how good you are, but how can you make it look good to the point where someone will be like, yeah, I'm buying that. And I would put that into 3 basic templates that I see do super well at conventions. And this is not from a me point of view, because like my stuff doesn't fit this bill, but like other people that just do really well, this is how they do it. And then the last one's like, it's like the not really part of the min-maxing efficiency thing. Okay, let's talk about some basic comps. Are sign the prints? If you ask me to sign a print, I'll do it, and I think most people will sign prints if you ask them to, because most of us have like a Sharpie just laying around, and we'll sign it.
But we don't sign them by default. They're usually like, you know.
Oh yeah, they're not signed by default.
Yeah.
You'll have to ask, because I'm not hand signing hundreds of prints. I'm sorry, but like before you buy it, and sometimes people don't want that. Okay, Dutch tilt pinup. Basically, take booba art, generally good looking, very nice sex appeal, genderless by the way, it's for everyone. Just tilt it big, fills the canvas, like it immediately adds dynamic and fits that rule of thirds bullshit, you know, whatever. And it's really easy to see from far away. Like this stuff pops, and it's really nice because you see the subject up and close, very intimate. It's nice. And I'd say like when we draw some sexy stuff, oh, this is the juice, right? So the next slide will be a few examples that I personally like. So these are a few artists that I personally look up to a lot, and they have artwork that I think just bangs super hard and looks so good physically. Like I will grab it. I can't really show the art off my wall, but like tell me that this does not look amazing. Oh, sorry, the last artist is Kane. I'll put my camera up to the top here. It's a really nice ULEP. Like, I mean, look at this. Like, this is just beautiful. Look at that. It just looks really nice in the hand. And you can see this from across the con hall. This is so pretty, right? Like, it's really nice. I just can't deny it. It just looks really pretty. And I think that people underestimate how nice it feels to have stuff in hand. It's a very different experience than something being on your phone or on your computer monitor. I really mean it, that when you're holding the artwork, you get to touch it, you get to look at it up close and personal. It's a different experience. You get to notice all the subtleties of the art up close and personal, the quality of the paper, like how the thickness of the paper when they give it to you. The whole experience is very nice. All right, moving on from the Dutch tilt pinup, basically trying to fill the canvas with your character. Do you need a background? Usually can be pretty simple. Like with Lucids, it's like kind of graphic-y, glitchy, random stuff. With Melty, it's like a basic beach background. With Nika Senpai, similar basic beach background. Kane is like flowers, right? Nothing too crazy. You don't need to worry too much about perspective, or like anything like super structural. It is what it is. Moving on. Negative space focus. I usually would like to describe this as like very contour and shape language heavy. Not that the other ones don't, but like seeing that like plain background like completely envelop the character and focus on like the outline, like using that negative space is key. And usually has a very plain, simple, solid color background, usually flat, simple perspective, and very, very clear anatomy. Like, it's just the character. Usually like thigh up, half body type thing. So here are some artists that I again look up to a lot, and I think these are wonderful examples. So like Yomu, Bunny Girl, basically leg up, verdigris, very simple. Thigh up. Daniel Dang, again, thigh up, very cute. Jetty Jet, again, thigh up, very cute. Very simple backgrounds and very much highlights the character, like overall like contour. I can't say more than that. Then it looks nice, right? All right, and then the third one that I would say is, I would say a little bit more flexible and has a lot of bleed between the other ones I've talked about, but I would call it like a centerfocal, graphic designy type look. And it's hard to really define this, but it's like the comp that really centers the character in the middle. Like it's just like, it's like almost like the way an icon looks in a way. And it kind of treats the pose and whatever elements included as a whole. It's like one all-inclusive shape in the middle. And it similarly uses negative space, but whatever is you're doing with this piece, it's accentuating the focal point, which is the middle. In fact, I've seen a lot of artists will use different aspect ratios of paper to emphasize like the comp of the drawing, like 1x1, 2x1, very like shorter, more square paper.
I will say for those ones though, they are a little bit more higher risk because people can't find frames for them, and there's a good number of people who do want to frame them. So if you're doing like specialized aspect ratios for your prints, like non-standard ones, you better hope that like at least one of those dimensions is standard so that people can frame or print them. So
yeah, I actually didn't really talk too much about that, but basically like there is a generally like most prints follow photo dimensions. So like 11x17, 8.5 by 11, 4x6 are the ones that I use. 18x27, 2030 is also some like stuff like that. Like I there's no wrong answer here or right answer, but like just be aware that like obtaining certain types of paper and certain sleeves for the paper and frames and whatnot are more common than others. Like there's like an infinite number of like formats for paper dimensions, and sometimes the way you draw it will affect that because of the shape of your canvas.
Yeah. Okay. I know a lot of artists will just draw an 11x17 canvas just so they can turn that into a print. So
yeah, my standard size has been 11x17 for a long time now, just because if I need to turn into a print, it's easy. Okay, the last, here are some great examples from artists that I really like. Again, Autograph, very simple. You can see the whole character, really cool, big arm thingies. P-Cat, just two characters standing side by side, very simple. Nothing more to say about that. I think like the simplicity of this type of look is very nice. The reason why I include ads piece is like because it's still very centered on Makima, and also like the shape is square. And like, is it realistic that there's hands? No, but like it's a cool like designy element that adds a lot to the enjoyment of the piece. And then Celtis, like I feel like she does a lot of other things too, but the cuteness of the froges in the little jar in the middle, I really think is pleasant. So and again, these are very easy to see from afar. The way it's consumed is different than the others, but they all have their own advantages. Okay, the last one is basically, yo, are you an industry artist trying to do some stuff at your local convention or whatever? This one's for you. And I don't recommend it if you're trying to save time. This is like you're doing it because you love it. It's not time efficient, it's not effort efficient, but it's like a product of passion, and it's you're putting your all into your stuff. And for me, that's some of my stuff, right? I'll have some examples too, but you can see how literally everything I talked about before kind of goes out the window in terms of formula. You're just doing it to make it the best you can make it, right? This is the flex, yeah. Like it's just pure skill expression. And a few people that have done this again are Devin L. Kurtz and RJ Palmer. They and Nika Senpai, they all go to conventions very regularly, and they just have some just beautiful stuff that you cannot crank out in a day. It's just different. They're built different. And not to say that other artists can't do it, but a lot of artists won't do it just because it's so inefficient in terms of time and effort. And this stuff was definitely made because they love the work that's done here, and you know, it's beautiful. I can't say much more than that. That's like what I'm gonna say to all these, but that's because I'm again speaking as an attendee. I speak as someone who's a consumer, and I would like fork over tens, 50, whatever, hundreds of dollars just to buy the stuff because it's so pretty and I enjoy it so much. But again, to you guys that maybe you're artists or you want to try to do a convention, understand that the requirements for doing certain formats has its own caveats, and that's what I want to let you guys know.
Yeah, and something about this too is a lot of the time people who do illustrations for prints tend to be doing it for other reasons as well. Like a lot of time these people are also building out their portfolio. So just remember that a lot of these people are double dipping, and most of the time not exclusively making these full illustration pieces for cons, because that again is just too much. So yeah, if you're putting, I'm gonna lead over so don't block Miku, so you don't like burn yourself out. Like you're basically doing things double duty.
Yeah, and so for people that are wondering about me myself, that's kind of what I'm doing. A lot of my work is not made for the express purpose of selling it at conventions. Hold for the exception of a few, but like that's like convention stuff is not my main thing. So I would not look to my work as the best example to like if you're trying to be efficient with your time and effort, because there are definitely better ways to do that if you want to enjoy your experience prepping for cons.
Yeah, and definitely the illustrations, yeah, as you were saying, it's a perk to be able to sell this stuff as prints rather than it being the exclusive purpose.
Yeah, it's definitely a side thing. Yeah. Oh god, it's so pretty. A final thing about prints, I would say, is color and lighting tips. Remember again that this is physical media. This is not just to be presented at or like presented online. Like I'll name drop our friend who basically has no social media following whatsoever, and she just sells at conventions, and so the only way you can really view her work is if you're at a convention. So it doesn't really matter how it does online. It's just like, do you see it? Do you like it? You buy it. So with that, the colors you choose in your painting or your drawing, whatever, and will show up differently depending on like the ink you use and the paper you use. And yeah, I can't tell you how many times like fucking around with different printers, different printing services, like different pieces, like qualities of paper, different weights of paper, different textures. It all vastly changes the way your drawing looks. Like I don't really, it's impossible to show you guys this through the computer screen, but if you go to a convention, you will notice like the differences between different types of paper, and it does affect the way like it presents itself in person. But I think a general goal of you guys to have, like if you're doing prints for conventions, the clearer your picture, the easier it is to see from afar and buy. Like when you're planning out your lighting, whatever it is, use lighting that makes it easiest to see your character from far away. Because think about how many people go to a convention. There's a lot of people, and there's probably people in front of you, and they might be waiting in line. So, like, think about the elements that you can include in your drawing to make someone physically stop walking, look at your booth, and walk over there. Because, like, the prints and the big things will be the thing that attract customers. Like, unfortunately for stickers and like smaller merchandise, it's kind of hard to see from far away. So artists that do have prints, that's the stuff that's going to attract the general audience. And then, we can discuss about like what they're actually buying at your table, or maybe not, maybe just checking out. But whatever you can do to help attract someone, it's like advertising, like do that thing. And finally, I don't want to again talk too formulaically, though there is one that I think that does pretty well consistently. Like, experiment. I don't want it to seem too stiff. not all drawings work for certain types of prints. Like, again, a lot of my work does not make for the best looking print. Like even to the way it's colored or rendered. Like I'm gonna go off on limb and say that my recent Panty and Stocking drawings look much better as prints than my previous Panty and Stocking paintings, even though I personally like the previous ones more because I just liked making those more. But yeah, like these look good as stickers and prints. And I cannot reiterate the way people see it online versus in person. It's just you cannot compare them. So yeah,
Also,
very very nice.
Also, we talked a little bit in chat about like finishings. Y'all are right. Yes, glossy is kind of hard to display, and matte is definitely better for display. And when you're selling them, you can use cell gloss. But in my personal opinion, like satin is the best you can go for.
Satin's so sexy
because it's so fucking pretty, and it like doesn't glare when you hang them up, and it still has like a nice, pretty, attractive like. I don't know, glow to it. I don't know, man. Satin
it makes
so
it
pretty.
seem sparkly.
It seems sparkly,
in
yeah,
a good way.
yeah.
In a good way.
It's just really nice. And I will fight to the ends of the earth about satin being best for prints. But, giant but, if you're doing something like postcards or whatnot, I would recommend matte just because you're going to be touching that a lot.
Yeah. Like everything that you choose when it comes to making merchandise has an effect on how it's handled in person. So I would be like, this goes for everything. Just by the way, to compare, do you see this like a layer print? That this is a picture that Zeke took from the printer that I use, and that's the way it looks like that. And this is the way it looks like as an image, and you could probably tell that it looks pretty different. It could be because of the camera quality, I'm not sure, but like just know that it will look different like in person versus like whatever. And before I got my recent printer, it looked even more different because just the way it printed and whatever paper we're using. Yeah. Okay, that's... Oh yeah, and again, last thing, it's supposed to be fun. Oh, I don't know why I chose this image, but it's kind of funny. At the end of the day, you are your own artist, and like, I think no matter what other people are drawing, you should be doing your own thing because you want to do it. The more fun you have, the more likely you're able to do it again. And if you're making money along the way, then that's just a bonus. That's how I view it.
Why did you put this picture? I actually just got triggered for real.
Actually, the real reason why I put the picture is because, unironically, from a business standpoint, don't feel bad that one person doesn't like one piece of your work or they don't buy one piece of your work, because like no matter what you draw, like someone will be there to support you and enjoy your work for what it is. Like no matter how unpopular, quote unquote, you are online, like that shit does not matter. Like when a crowd of people, a sea of people, even at like Anime Expo, are walking around, they'll look at your stuff and they will buy it. Someone will buy it. I guarantee it. So, but that's basically it. Like it's supposed to be fun. Yeah. That's like my presentation. Wahoo!
Wahoo! Okay, we'll go ahead and like, we have a few more slides. Oh shit. Okay. We have a few more slides to go over, and then we'll just like take general questions after. Uh-oh.
What?
What the fuck? Wait.
What is that?
Wait, why? I never changed the permissions.
What the fuck?
Maybe refresh your page. Oh, I'll go to the next slide. Go to the next slide. That's your own fucking thing, dude.
Oh, that's so silly. Anyways, all right. Well, back to this.
All right. So planning your booth. This was like a question we got in the beginning. So I'm gonna go through like the iterations of my booth over the years in the upcoming slides, just kind of to talk more about specifically how I built up my booth and like why I did it the way that I did. But I have to stress, please upgrade as you go. Do not spend $1,000 on pretty booth things when you can just go to Daiso. Like for real, don't invest $1 million into your booth initially. You can get away with Daiso corkboards and like cheap grids and stuff very easily. So I would say the starter pack for a booth is 1, a tablecloth, because most cons do not provide it for you. 2, a point of sale system. This could be PayPal, this could be Square. Some of these like point of sales services actually offer a free reader of some sort that you can get your hands on. So I would recommend looking into that first. Most people start with that.
You don't need the fancy one.
You don't. I didn't buy the fucking $300 terminal until this year. So it's not necessary.
It's not.
And although it helps, you don't have to get it. Don't buy the fancy one straight from the get-go. And if you do, I would definitely look into getting a refurbished one because, honest to God, like,
not worth it.
It's not worth it.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, and then the last thing is a medium to display your merchandise, which the most popular thing that people use is modular grids. So you can either use the plastic ones, like the panel ones, or the grid panels. These are just nice because they're easy to transport. You can build your table however you need to, pin things to them, hang them, whatever it may be. So yeah, someone said do not, or some Square readers or some card readers don't work across borders, so make sure you double check beforehand.
Yeah,
yes,
internationally,
yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Also, I'll use this as another point to say, like, when I say like the starter pack, like, there are things you do absolutely need, because when I helped Mo set up, honestly, I forgot about how much stuff that I usually just bring every time I go to a convention, like, because Mo didn't really have anything, and I provided pretty much all the stuff that he used for the table. So like, you do need a way to show the work, and you do need something to exchange, like, money somehow. Like, I told him, like, yo, you need to bring cash. He's like, cash? I'm like, yeah. And you need somewhere to store it. So I had to, like, finagle a random pouch for the cash for him. And having that is really important because a lot of people bring cash. Like, every con has someone paying cash. And that is super important.
Also, I skipped over it, but there is kind of a tier list to what cash bags you should use, but 100% your waist bag is the best, because unfortunately people steal at cons, and the most obvious thing that says this has cash in it is having a cash box. So I wouldn't recommend a cash box.
Ours was worse.
Okay, but I safety pin it to the table.
You don't, no. Ours is in me and Mo's.
Okay. I was like, bro.
Do you know what we did?
Did you use a sleeve?
We used a sleeve.
You're fucking ridiculous. I actually hate you.
Yeah, please. But there's nothing else.
Bro, you could have just asked me. I have extra pouches, bro. Why?
Okay, in the heat of the moment, heat of the gamer moment, I took an 8.5 by 11 sleeve, like, cut it, taped it over, and made it into the rough size of a $1 bill so that he could fit his money there.
I cannot believe that, bro. Okay, yes, do not do that. Please wear, like, a waist tag or a fanny pack. Don't do that.
That was, like, a last-minute resort. It was basically in something that
No, it's a plastic sleeve. It's literally clear, and you can see money inside of it.
So, anyways, that is not what you should do.
Please don't do it.
Yeah.
That actually pains me so much. I actually can't. You should have just fucking came to my table.
Hey man, I was doing shit. I was across like several different tables. It's not even my table, dude. I was like, okay. Anyways.
Okay.
I wasn't there the whole time.
That's
I was
true.
not there the whole time.
That's just
and,
so
like,
yeah.
I was not at the table the entire time.
All right. So
why did I not give him my bag? Because it's got my keys and wallet in it, and I need those things on me. So.
All right.
Anyways, yeah. Also, wait, do you talk about chits and tape?
Oh, fuck! I always forget to write them down because I always forget.
You need the
please bring masking tape and also bring binder clips. Those two things are really important. Also, a pair of scissors. Please put those in your supply box. Don't forget them. They are so helpful. And also, like we mentioned before, bring a Sharpie. People probably at least once will ask to sign your work, so it's a good idea to just have that.
And sticky notes.
Sticky notes are good for especially like emergency like price tags and stuff, but
or like you just need to put something up on the display. It helps a lot.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So yeah, those are also. I'll make sure to add those after stream onto the PowerPoint. But yeah, so please bring those things. Bro. Okay, we have a problem with tape in our little duo. See.
Okay. You know what? It's in the bay. It's there. Okay, dude.
We bought.
I can buy more tape. Hey, I can buy you more tape. If you want tape, dude, I'll fucking buy tape for you.
We
Okay, fine. Shut the fuck up.
no, I didn't. No. I didn't say this.
I have tape.
We bought 6 rolls of tape.
I'll say it with you.
And then Joseph kept all of it. And wait. At a con, I bought more tape.
Shut up. It's not true. You have that shit.
No, I don't.
You
Bro
actually
took
have
my
that shit.
tape during Fanime, and it's in his bag in NorCal. I didn't have tape for AX. I had to ask someone for tape.
Anyways, moving on. But yeah, tape is very important.
Yes.
Specifically, like the tan masking tape.
Yeah.
That stuff is really important.
You can also use painter's tape too, but it's more expensive, so I wouldn't
Wow,
recommend.
look at this! Look at this! This play's so cute.
Thank you.
That dude's trying to. Dude, that dude in the back's about to take a nice seat. Look at that. He's about to be Bing chilling.
Okay.
Look at that dude.
So I kind of mentioned earlier, sharing a table is the best way to start, especially with someone who's experienced. And the reason why I say this is because, one, you don't have to fill up a whole table on your own. It feels really difficult to fill up a whole table when you first start. We're actually sharing with 4 artists at this table, and we still do this kind of stuff now. This was April 2019, so a few months after I first started. There's 4 artists at this table, and you can see here those corkboards are from Goodwill and Daiso. We use cardstock to back our pins and just wrote on them. Those are like Daiso price tags that we use that are made for gift tags, just our modular displays. Those are taped up onto the boards, and then we just use like random bins and things like that we had. And this worked, and we still made money from it. So
I'm gonna do a really cringe shill, but actually unironically having something that's not just scissors, but like something to like cut small things is actually pretty helpful for like small impromptu stickers for like small labels for like sold out, or like yeah,
I carry
helpful.
a box cutter, so my knife is probably more dangerous than his anyway, so yeah.
I'm gonna stop talking. Anyways, continuing. Let's see. Other.
So, yeah.
Oh, these are the boost setups.
Yeah,
so cute.
yeah.
Look at that. Look at the buttons.
So this is August 2019. This is where I met Joseph. Fun fact. This is
this
the curse.
con was really good.
This con was great. So you could see that we're still using the kind of the same scuff setup, like these cheap boards and stuff like that. And we still display all of our stuff, and you can see everything. That button board is literally just a piece of felt. That and it works, and it shows all of our stuff, and people can't steal them because they're like they're pinned to the cloth. And so the way this setup works is just really clean, or not clean, but like it's really easy and really easy to look at, and it's honestly feels scuffed on our end, but it displays all your stuff, so there's no problem with it. And
very modular. Yeah,
it's very modular, very easy, really easy to transport. Yeah, our charms are literally just like push pin to the board.
Cool. All right, what we got here?
This is
July 2021.
July 2020. Oh, this was any manga. I think that con doesn't exist anymore. So you can see we started upgrading our setup.
That Owo Omen.
What?
Well, that's a different table.
Oh, yeah.
I can't know who did that.
Oh, really? Yeah, so you can see we have like a variety of different things. We have postcards, we have prints, we have a lot of charms, stickers, pins. We actually upgraded, or we actually got rid of the corkboards because one of our artists started traveling further. So we switched to those white boards that are, what are they called? They're like embroidery cross stitch boards, and everything is like zip tied to it, and it's really light, really easy to transport. And then the enamel pins are actually backed on the same thing, but we just printed out sheets of like backing paper to like put onto it. And then the rest of the stuff, all of our sticker sheets, they're fucking taped to the grids. Postcards taped to the grids, peekers taped to the grids. Our manjus it's all stuck to the grid.
I want you to know right now, everyone that's watching the stream, if your brain is starting to turn off, better wake the fuck up, because when you're actually at the table and you have to do this shit, it's like, hey, slap, wake up. You have to somehow do this. Someone is building this thing, and it's gonna be you. And if you're like, oh, but my print, how does it go upwards? You have to find a solution, and all these are solutions to like putting up your like display, because how it's displayed is integral to how your booth looks as a whole and whether or not people will buy your shit. Because
Yeah.
if it's not being displayed, people aren't gonna look at it and people aren't gonna buy it. So
Yeah.
the stupid logistics of using little pins and tapes and random crap to put your stuff up is actually one of the most important things.
Yeah. So also, like I mentioned in the beginning, it does, as long as your stuff is up, it doesn't really matter. I have to stress, like, I have a catalog because I have a lot more shit than I can put up, but I will 100% say the stuff you put on display is the stuff
People do
that is
not look at
actually
that catalog.
Yeah, people only like
I mean, they do.
10% of people will
not
pick up your
same.
catalog and look at it. Because not everyone, nobody ain't got time for that, okay? Like,
Wait,
whatever they can see,
Can
they
we
can
talk
look.
about the thing where people literally become illiterate?
Oh yeah, and also you okay, all right. So the thing is, we have this joke about the average con goer because we have all these price signs up and like everything is labeled and people will still ask you, hey, how much is this?
Catalog.
Yeah. So
everything.
So you have to be ready to just be a broken record and be like, yeah, my sticker sheets are $10. Yeah, my prints are $20. Yeah, they're buy two get one free because they're just not.
And it's literally in front of their face.
Yeah.
But this also should like tell you guys how important it is the way things look and how
Yeah.
it's put up. Because if they're not seeing it and you're not literally speaking into their ear hole what you're selling and how much it costs, people won't know. There is a thing that's like the Gutenberg Bible that's got all of our prints and stickers or whatever, and it's sitting in front and center. And people will be like, hey, y'all got a catalog?
Yeah,
I
bro,
shit you not. That's just what happens.
Our catalog says like, ooh, pick me up, and people still don't pick it up.
I'm telling you. And really, I'm not trying to flame anyone in particular. It's just, there's so much going on at conventions. There's just too much shit to like pay attention to. So the way things are displayed is so critical.
Yeah.
So like, again, if it's not right in front of their face, displayed big on your grids, on your photo stand, corkboard, whatever, people won't know about it. So listening to this part is actually very, very important.
Yeah. All right, next table.
All right, continue.
Yeah, so this is my first solo table. So you can see I didn't start tabling solo until last year, actually. I've been doing this for 4 years, but I always shared a table just because it's easier. Like, again, like we mentioned before, sharing a table is easier because, like, you don't have to be by yourself, and sometimes cons can get slow, or sometimes you can feel smudge, or you need to go pee or something. Like, having someone there is just so much better than being by yourself. So yeah, this is my first solo table. I don't have a photo stand. I literally just tape my prints up to my grids, and then at this time I didn't have a great way to display my decals, like my peakers, because I didn't really. That was my first time actually selling like decals for real. So I wanted to show that they were like full bleed and all that stuff. You can see my catalog in the front. I can tell you not everyone picked that up, definitely not. But you can see like the difference between then and before and the upgrades that we made and the changes that we make. And then you can also see going forward to the next one is literally...
Is this the next one?
Yeah, the next one's our shared
I don't know what to call this, but like this is like the...
prototype.
This no. It's just like how David does it. Where it's like
yeah.
a wall of stuff.
Yeah.
I was gonna say like this is like the wall of stuff. This is also like a wall of stuff. This is kind of like free form. Like I don't know. I kind of like the corkboards. It's very like modular.
It's cute. Yeah.
Very nice. Very cute. This is like the wall. And is this the one the bunker?
Yeah. It's where we start
this
the
is
bunker.
the fucking bunker where you're not seeing me. You're seeing the person that's poking their head through the...
Yeah, so the reason why we actually started doing this is because personally, I'm... Okay, like not gonna lie, I don't know if you know this, Joseph, but I hate making eye contact with people when I'm eating, and I actually am really anxious about eating at a con. So having the bunker is so nice because I could just hide behind the wall and no one will see me shoving food into my mouth. It's just honestly better in my opinion. You have a little bit more space to display things. You can see the way that this is set up. It's kind of a U shape, and then we have a print stand behind us so that we can display a lot more prints than we would normally. You can see that we've upgraded like the acrylic charm boards and like sticker boards and things like that. We're actually using acrylic sheets for all those stickers. It's like a really nice way to display things, but I will say again, like I mentioned earlier, acrylic is really heavy. So I personally wouldn't recommend this. This was just me trial and erroring stuff, but you can kind of see the process.
The Eternal says, but eating is the best way to get customers.
Dude, Phil, that's
it
so
just
real.
summons someone when you put. It's like
Yeah.
it's like, hi, can I have? Oh yeah, go to work. I'm gonna finish it by. And like you're like putting your food down. Of course, it's got to be like some burger or burrito or like something that's like insanely messy, and you have to like wipe your hands to grab the print or whatever merchandise. Dude, that's so fucking funny, man. It's so true.
Also,
Anyways.
someone asked, is it worth setting up your display in a way that people can't steal from them? Okay, so here are the pros and cons. Let me just go over this real quick because I think this is pretty important. So the pros of setting up your table that it is you like only display items are out is that people can't really steal from the display. It's like really hard. Everything's on display so people can touch them. However, self-serve can be more helpful because studies show that if you put something in your hand, you grow more emotionally attached to it. So customers are actually more psychologically inclined to purchase your items if they can touch it.
It literally, they'll grab it, pick up like the
postcards.
Oh my god, postcards. Yeah, the postcards, and they'll be like, I want this now.
Yeah.
It happens.
So sometimes people will steal stuff. It happens. But that's why you can kind of find like a nice medium between this, that you can choose to display things that are quote unquote lower ticket items like postcards. They're like less money for you to produce, and also they're not as expensive, but it gives people time to rifle through stuff while you're helping other people. And if they steal it, it's a piece of paper, like ultimately, whatever.
Hopefully it's just a piece of paper.
Yeah, hopefully it's just a piece of paper. I try to avoid self-serving things like enamel pins. There's no fucking way I'm gonna let someone walk off with that. I do have a clearance bin because clearance people like sifting through that, and it's for the same reasons. But yes, studies have shown, friends have told me, experience has shown, if people pick it up, they're more likely to be buying it. So you want to find a good middle ground between that, in my opinion. My old setups were all like, you come to the window and ask for stuff, and then you get to touch the catalog, but that was it. But now we have like a nice hybrid between that.
Yeah. And like, if you're really worried about people stealing stuff, I don't really know how to explain this besides like, if someone's gonna be a turbo asshole and steal from you or screw with your shit, they're kind of gonna do it. Yeah. It's like, I don't know. I don't know what to say about that besides like, if people are gonna be assholes to you, then there's nothing really you can do. Like, you can't, there's only so much tape you can use and so much like I don't know, duct tape or whatever to put things down, right? Like this very con, someone just tore our shit down. So,
oh yeah, at this con specifically.
Like what are you gonna do to that? Like I taped everything up like with like double tape, whatever, and if someone's gonna be an a-hole about it, then someone's gonna be an a-hole about it. Nothing
yeah,
you
this
can
is
do
Impulse
about
OC.
Yeah, there's Impulse OC.
We had a booth. We didn't have an artist alley table too, so it was like pretty rough.
Yeah. All right, what's after this?
What is it?
Oh, another one. What is this?
Oh, so this is Sugoi Saturday. This was my first Giga booth by myself. Actually, technically it wasn't by myself, but I split like kind of.
This is a cool booth.
Thank you. This is when I first started like trying to display all of my peakers, all several hundred peakers.
Dude, do this again. Thoughts?
I mean,
I don't know. I think you should do this again.
Like this setup?
I mean.
Oh, I mean, like the thing is though, you have to have a 10x10 for this because otherwise I can't display prints at all.
It's huge.
And we kind of did something similar at TwitchCon for this, but I wish I did it like this instead of how I did it at TwitchCon. But this was February of this year, so you could see that I've switched my panels to these pink lightweight plastic panels. There's a lot of shit to look at. It's a little overwhelming, but people also like looking through all the stuff. So I just have a lot of stickers. That's a lot of what I sell. I sell a lot of decal stickers and now also charms.
It's a lot of what?
Decals?
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, continue.
Oh, you fucking shut up. Okay, English is hard. Fuck off. I hate you.
Yeah, anyways, let's continue. Right? This is really nice.
Yeah, so like you could see, like it's been
what, this 4 is like years? The fucking final boss.
Oh, yeah, so this was
it's like biblically accurate concept.
So this was March 2023 of this year, so like literally a few months ago. This is a solo booth I did on my own. And you can see I try to get as much of my decals up there because again, if they can't see it, they're probably not going to buy it. I wanted to get my prints up there as well because, okay, so here's the thing about prints is prints, I don't really sell prints. But
it attracts people.
Prints attract people from far away because you can just see them. They're like freaking waving a flag, right? So it's just better to have prints, even if you're not much of a print artist. I don't always bring prints. Now I just mostly bring postcards, but prints, in my opinion, were a really good way to get people to just look at your stuff. I sell, like, I'm gonna be completely honest with you. On average, at a con, I will sell maybe 1 or 2 prints a day, which is like, obviously sounds insane.
Yup.
But I sell a lot of my other stuff because a lot of people see stuff. And the thing is, it's also a good way for you to advertise what you have at your booth. I've had people come up to me and be like, oh my god, they'll like run up to me like, oh my god, I saw that you have Pomu print. Do you have other Pomu stuff? Like, I really, really want Pomu. And I'm like, yeah, I have like a bunch of shit. Here you go. But then they don't actually buy the print itself. Like, it just happens. And a lot of times people like the little things that they can hold. So like, that's why people buy acrylic charms or enamel pins and things like that. So yeah, that's
actually really why Miao and I work pretty well together. It's because I don't really do the sticker cute stuff. I don't know how to draw a chibi for my life, and they do, and they don't do prints, and I do. So it like really just like, they'll be like, oh my god, you drew a Lyra, big giant Lyra banner, and then they buy their stickers, and I'm like that's, it works, and it works vice versa too. It's like I'll have everything Lyra, and then they'll buy my print, their sticker, their charm, etc., etc., etc. Like, it just works. So yeah. We kind of just work off each other's like strengths and weaknesses, because I don't really do the small merch, and they don't really do prints, so it works.
Yeah. And also, the reason why I don't do prints and stuff is because kind of what we talked about earlier about the whole how much time you want to invest in things. For me, I feel very like I'm still learning a lot about, like, you know, drawing non-chibis and non-graphic design things, which is what my strong suit is. So my prints, I don't think are very strong, and I think that's okay. And that, like, ultimately, like, you know,
you don't want to see what my graphic design stuff looks like.
Oh my god, bro, I actually, dude, I tried to have Joseph set up like 1 page of his stuff on his own, and this man like took like an hour and was like crying by the end of it.
Anyways,
so
you don't want to see it.
So yeah,
you called this Pomu's Cafe?
Oh, so this was, I did a stamp rally at this time for Niji Market, and I was Pomu's Cafe. I was cosplaying too, yeah.
Oh, okay, I remember this one.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
All right.
So I still have the prints up, even though I'm not very strong with them when I solo table. But again, I'm not strong in it, and I still have a lot to learn. But personally, because I attend so many cons, I don't have the time to invest into getting good. Like, to be entirely honest, I could spend like several days on working on an illustration to get that up, or I can spend an hour and pull out like 3 charms out of my ass, and that's gonna sell more anyway. So why am I going to do that? And
see,
yes, this
that's
is
like a big thing. Like, Miao can work really fast. They're telling me, like, yeah, I can draw the entirety of this generation of YouTubers in a singular stream. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. I can draw 1 character in a week. That's cool. And my stuff might not even sell. Like, that's just the reality of it. Like, because I, like, the time investment for drawing, almost no matter what, is gonna take more than the time it takes for Miao to do like a singular sticker or whatever. Like, but again, it costs more to do stickers and charms and pins than it does to sell a piece of paper, right? Like, just think about it, right? Like, on paper, like, just numbers wise, it costs about $1 to make a print, an 11x17 print that will sell for $25, or you can blow thousands of dollars on pins and you can only sell them for like $18-20, right? Like, but you can't think of it that way. Like, you can't, because the way it works out in reality does not work like that at all. Like, because sometimes if I spend a week or 2 weeks or a month drawing stuff that no one will buy, then that's a month of my time just gone, right? And that happens, right? Like it just, not that I can't control that. But the likelihood of people buying a small sticker and like charm is much higher than buying a print. So
yeah, and also I want to say too is that, like, although I'm saying, yeah, I can shit this stuff out like super fast, like, it doesn't I want to emphasize that it doesn't mean that I don't care about this stuff or whatever. It's that I've like gotten to a point where I can do it this fast. I definitely haven't started this quickly or anything like that. And I think it's important to note that just because someone does something quickly doesn't mean that it's like low effort for them or whatsoever.
Oh, everyone in my chat should have brain cells, right?
Yeah, I hope.
Know this, right? I'm gonna ban you on the spot if you do.
Because I mentioned this before, and like I know that some people are like, well, why do I want to buy your stuff if you don't put effort into it? But that's like
actually,
obviously
you only spent 30 minutes, so it must be worthless.
Yeah, so I just want to make that clear, especially because I'm posting this VOD later. Like, it's pretty important to think about that too. Yeah. So this was March. This was, I think, Fanime. This was our most recent booth or
the banners.
Well, like our most recent shared booth, where we have the banners, and you could see how we chose to display our prints. And
not to lie, the Anime NYC one was kind of hyped too. Actually, I really like the Crunchyroll Expo one. That one was freaking hyperino.
I didn't have pictures.
I don't have a picture of it. You don't have. Wait, I had a picture of the anime.
I don't know where they are. They were in my convention folder, so yeah. But yeah, so this is like a shared table. You could see we don't have a lot of prints on display, but we have a lot more of the charms and things, and we use the banners to get people's attention. We've also switched the method of which we display our catalog. We used to use a book for display, but for this one specifically, we had a like sheet of paper, like an 11x17 double-sided piece that people can just look at and point at what they want, in addition to Joseph's like actual print catalog, which people would still look at. But again, having
not look at,
true. But
not look at.
The thing is, like, we have this catalog here, but like most people will just like stare at it and not pick it up, and we're like, you can grab it. You could just grab it.
You can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
Crunchyroll
actually
Expo is not a thing anymore, by the way.
Yeah,
it's not a thing.
They canceled it for this year because the Crunchyroll
because of random
Australia.
politics shit and budgeting and
yeah. The banners, we actually auction them off at the end. Not all artists will do this. We just did this for funsies, basically.
How I'm not sure if you cover how many amount. Oh, sorry. Like, there's another question. I wanted to answer actually. Oh, I think Naka asked about OC content. I didn't really go over it that much, but like, OC content is kind of in its own like niche thing, and like, I would say that falls into the if it looks good, people will buy it still. Like, I think that will remain true no matter what. Like I did that one the lazy weeb girl with a keyboard. Yeah, that people will buy that. That's my OC technique, or I was hired to make that OC. Like, it's not any real like anime character or whatever. Like, people just buy it because it's nice art or whatever, right? Like, so I think if look good, people will buy it. Do you think it's a bad thing if two artists at a shared table have a ton of content and art type? You know, that's interesting because that's actually me and Miao. Like, our art styles vary powerfully, but I'd say combined, we do pretty well still.
Huh? What?
Right?
Sorry, I zoned out. I didn't hear the
you're
question.
Good. The question was like, do you think it's a bad thing if two artists at a shared table have a ton of content and art style? Honestly, for us, I think we try to make it so that we complement each other rather than like take away. Though I'd say personally, I had more recently had no problem drawing some more VTuber stuff because it's kind of fun, and that helped both of us, I would say.
Yeah. Also, though, okay, so here's the thing about sharing tables. I said earlier it's good to start with sharing a table. I would say share a table with someone that you genuinely can trust with business. It doesn't have to mean that they're a good friend of yours, because I have had friends who have had literally the worst friendship breakups in the planet because of conventions. Yeah, so the thing is, like, I've had people who table together for years and suddenly they get really upset because they feel like their styles are too similar and they cover the same content, and now they're competing within table, not just outside of table.
So silly, but yeah, that's why I talked about the whole like competition thing. Like, it does exist technically.
Yeah. So, I would say kind of like be cautious or be picky about who you choose to like mentor you and table with. But yeah, and also like read the OC stuff. Like, some of my bestsellers are OC stuff. So, and I think that OC physical stuff tends to be, or like physical like charms and pins and stickers tend to do a little bit better than prints.
Hey, nice cat.
Shut the fuck up. So like my pet peekers, for example, they do really well. Oh my god, messenger, shut up. Sorry. My pet peekers do really well, and so do like my Omamori stuff, but like that's because I have a lot of experience in like graphic design for and whatnot, and pets are easy because people want their pets and stuff like that. So, you know, like what stuff you choose to make OC content of, or like OCU stuff of is very dependent on the topic, like whether it'll sell or not.
Yeah. Man, the whole business thing. Yeah, I think I don't think there's a point in talking too much about it, but like any sort of workspace, like politics and drama is a thing that does happen, and I can't tell you how to navigate that for yourself because you'll have to first experience what going to a con is in the first place. Like honestly, I didn't encounter any problems at all doing conventions. I was literally like kind of mindlessly enjoying doing cons for the first like several cons until like people started tearing down my shit and I had to like piece together like what the fuck drama is happening, or like when Miao tells me about like friends that break up, you know, because of whatever silly thing, you know. I'm like, oh man, that kind of blows, like to know that like not everything's perfect and nothing's perfect, but like, hey, I think that the thing that keeps me doing conventions besides like just the con experience is that like I think just keeping like a good mentality about like in, you know, not being toxic and shit and just enjoying the experience as a whole will keep you doing them no matter what. Like even if you make more $1 billion or you maybe just break even, like stuff like that. I think keeping like healthy mindset no matter what is like super important.
Oh my god, the don't be a dick thing, just gotta say, I have like a really funny like clip from my stream about an experience with that.
Yeah, because it happens, right? Like you'll deal with people that are just assholes, and that's part of the thing.
Yeah, and I gotta say, as someone who does cons pretty regularly, like honestly, I personally just mind my own business, and it's great to make friends and meet people, but I'm ultimately my thought is that I'm there to work. Like I'm there to have like fun because to me this is fun, but it's also work for me. So I'm not gonna go fuck around and be stupid and be a dick to people and things like that. It's just like you gotta go into it with a good mindset and like a strong mindset too, like a strong mind, not strong mindset.
Wait, actually, how much? I forgot. How much does David take to a convention? Like how many individual works? Because Eames is asking what it's a good amount of art.
Like we mean like designs or how many?
Yeah, how many designs? Like how many like characters or whatever? Didn't he have like 20?
No, I think it's like 10. Oh god, hold on. Let me look at his.
That might be. I can't tell if that's like an anomaly or like that's not normal. He
has a hyper niche though.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd say safe 15 to 20 is great to start.
For prints,
you can get by with 15 to 20 if you're doing prints.
Yeah. Oh, also you can see in the front of this table is where we have our postcard set up now. The only L I do gotta say with this one is I had someone spill like coffee all over my postcards, and that made me really smudge.
Yeah.
So that is a risk that you take.
I don't know. That's kind of stupid though. Yeah. You know, like that shouldn't happen to most people. Hopefully.
Yeah. Hopefully. All right. Last slide I think is Path to Pro.
You want to do this full time? Here are some things to consider.
So these I think are important questions you want to ask yourself before you decide to full send into this. These are questions that my Artist Alley mentors asked me when I was like, I want to quit my job. I hate working in healthcare. Please, can I just full send into this? These are questions that they asked me that I had to determine myself before I started doing this as like basically my main source of income. The first one is, what is your daily average profit at a con? And what is your goal for that?
That's crazy to think about. Yeah, I don't know.
Because each day of a con is going to be a little bit different. So you want to think about how much are you making on average per day? And is that enough to sustain you for the show itself? And then also beyond that, how much are you willing and able to budget per show? Again, we mentioned before, Anime NYC, we spent 2K per person. And are you willing to do that? But then also for like local cons, I spend like $100 on gas and some for food and then the table itself. Like that was it. So it really varies depending on how much, like where you're going, what you're doing, but how much are you willing to budget per show? If you are planning on doing this full time, you will have to travel a lot. Like it's just how it is.
We have a friend that used to travel basically every single week.
I had a
you're
friend that
doing
did
them, like-
40 to 50 cons per year, and there's 52 weeks in a year, by the way. So for
Yeah.
context.
Do some quick maths on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then also, what's your monthly financial needs that need to be met? How much do you spend a month on rent, food, whatever? Like for me, I have 2 dogs that I need to pay for. So like how much do I make? How much do I need to make per month for this to be sustainable? And then how many shows a month do you have to do to meet this? For me, that's 1 show a month. Because I also have like a part-time job that I do like on the side, obviously. In addition, for the sake of like stability, it's not like absolutely necessary. But in my opinion, like I think it's important to consider whether or not you're willing to work a part-time job to do this. And then if you're unable to go to a show for whatever reason, like if you have to miss a show, will you still be financially stable enough to like maintain that? Like June, I didn't go to any shows because I went to Hawaii instead. And was I okay? Yeah, because I made sure that at my cons, I make enough to be able to like have basically like rainy day funds. It's important to just remember that. Yeah, savings are important.
Financial responsibilities.
Yeah. And then also, last thing before last thing is, do you have an out? Like, do you have a way to pivot if this thing doesn't work out for you? Because again, like even though it's business,
hard work.
It's really hard work, and part of it, unfortunately, is luck. There's always going to be a small part of luck in it because that's just how it goes. Whether people decide to stop at your table or not, like obviously there's things you can do to like limit the amount of luck that is involved. If you watch Blue Lock, you probably know what I'm referencing exactly. But you know, like do you have a way to pivot? Like for me, I majored in healthcare, so like if I have to, I can go back to that, or alternatively, I can like full send into what I'm doing part-time. So you should just have like a way to like a backup plan in case it doesn't work out. And I hate to say that because I hate like being like, oh well, you know, it's just good to have this, but it's just the reality of it. It's not meant to be discouraging. It's just it just be like that.
Yeah, I think like I want to make sure that everyone understands that like doing conventions can be good, and can you make a lot of money? Yeah, like is the meme, can you make bank? True, like yes, but the ginormous asterisk is like what we said, like this whole 2 hours, nearly 3 hours of talking has been to tell you guys about everything that goes into it and how to make it successful, and like how to min-max your effort and time and money and blah 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 blah. So it's a lot to think about. Like everything we've talked about is a critical aspect of doing conventions, and I don't even do it full time. Like I do it as something to like, as a sort of for fun and to supplement whatever I'm already making. So like it's not easy money. It might feel that way like as kind of like a meme, but it's definitely like a lot of hard work. And I think anyone in this chat or anyone that you ask at a convention will tell you the same thing. Like there's so much that goes into it. And again, like we're artists, right? Like the landscape that we exist in is constantly changing, and there's like stupid shit that pops up on social media or at conventions or in the entertainment industry as a whole every single day, and like you're kind of just like fighting for your life to just dodge that when and where you can. So again, nothing's really guaranteed. So again, like when we say like, do you have an out, and like are you like sustaining yourself outside of what you love to do and are willing to work hard at, like that's just a reality check question. Like
yeah,
it's just the way of life, you know? Like there's people in this chat who I consider to be very high tier artists, and art is not their 100% thing. Like Egg is a fucking software engineer, and like Mo does other shit too. Like I don't know, like you know, Cheese has his own job outside of doing art. Like you know, there is like not everyone has the privilege to be able to do this full time.
Yeah.
So,
and again, like for context, even like I've been doing this for 4 years, and I only recently in the past how many months have been doing this like technically quote unquote like as a job. I tried doing it while because here's the thing guys, is if you want to do this quote unquote full time and have a full-time job, you will burn yourself out. I can guarantee it as someone who has been through that. I used to work a healthcare job in person 5 days a week, like full time, and did cons, and did freelance, and streamed. I was working 90 plus hours a week until I literally like physically could not do it anymore. Until like people sat me down and was like, you need to pick what you want to do. So I quit my healthcare job, chose to do this because I felt like I was like in a good place to be able to do so. And like that was a risk that I was willing to take, and I have like the ability to have a support system that I need. Like if all else fails, I got Jake. Like if I need to, I can rely on someone to help me financially until I'm back on my feet again. So it's and this isn't specific to con artists.
No,
it's just everything in general. But again, like be as realistic as possible when you come into this, because like honestly, it is a lot of work, and like although it's fun and you may be having a fun time with it, you're still expending energy to do all this.
Yeah. Also, like, there are people in this chat that I'm not gonna call you out, but like, literally I didn't even know it was you guys. Like, that are like industry up theirs, and they have told me personally, like multiple people about like it's never La La Land at any point in time for anyone in like the creative space. So like, I'm not trying to scare anyone, but like being on your toes is definitely a part of the job. So you can't be, you gotta adapt and like you have to keep an open mind and a good attitude about it, or else like you're gonna like lose it. So yeah, is that it?
I think that's it.
Is that it? Oh, cool, awesome. Gotta love it. True, because why would you be doing this if you didn't love it, right?
I'm just gonna go to the first page and we can take questions and stuff.
Sure, yeah. Anyone with questions? I think we can take the next like 15 minutes just to round it off to like questions as people want. If you're making your own prints at home, what kind of printer do you need to be looking into? I know you'll need dimensions for your preferred size, but on the technical side, things to keep out for. Yeah, so ideally, because a good size to aim for is like 11x17, you need to find a printer that can print that. I forgot which one I had at first, but like I had like a good Canon printer, like some inkjet. I'm not sure, but you want something that has refillable ink cartridges, and sometimes people can find hacks for it. Like when I had the old printer, I had to like Zeke had to hack it so that you could have refillable ink cartridges, so that you're not paying $1 bajillion every time. Now I have a really expensive printer, but that's because it makes sense to own something that expensive, so it saves me money in the future. But yeah, I think that going to your local print shop first is the best and most affordable way, especially if you're printing low volume, because it only really makes sense to buy something pretty expensive if you are willing to manage it for yourself, and also like you're making enough volume of prints to make it worth it. Because otherwise, might as well just order from your local print shop and don't have to think about it. You literally put in your order, send them the files, and then they'll give it to you whenever. So yeah.
In terms of like DPI and color, DPI minimum for printing is 350.
350.
If it's anything lower, your stuff will come out as pixelated. That's why it's good if you're doing something that you want to print on 11x17, make sure it is 350 DPI, because you don't want to go backwards, because then your stuff will be pixelated. Color, nowadays printers are smart enough to not fuck up the color all that bad if you draw in RGB or if you paint in RGB, but try your best to do CONK if you can. Yeah.
Can you expand on what you're saying about pros talking about the position they're in? It sounds like you're saying that even when you make it, yeah, absolutely. There are people in this chat right now that are really high tier industry artists, and their jobs are not necessarily guaranteed, and or like their ability to move is not guaranteed. Like it's never, like, especially with the advent of all the bullshit that's been happening with like, I don't know, AI, writer strikes, like job scarcity, gaming industry, esports collapse. Like, I don't mean to sound like a Debbie Downer, but like these are things that are happening right now, and no one's immune to it. Like it affects everyone from the top down in some way or another. So yeah, it's never like secured.
Creatives have some of the most like high risk or like unstable positions because although like the world has indicated that they need us, they definitely don't want to, you know, pay for it or anything like that.
Yeah.
So it's important to like understand that like if you decide to full send into a creative like career, there's risk that comes with it, just like any position, but obviously
Yeah,
some
it's not
things
just
for
art.
sure have more risk than others, and being a creative is one of those things.
Yeah, and I think most people with a brain understand that entering the entertainment industry, you're not doing it because it's a stable job. That sounds a little silly to me.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing that you can really control when you're in this space is like how skillful you are and how decent of a person you are and like how well you can communicate in a business sense. Like, so yeah. There's another question I saw. But yeah, that's like I would say like you gotta just control what you can control, and unfortunately, no one person's gonna fix all these issues with the entertainment industry. But yeah, like I mean, low key, if you're just in it for the money, like there are just a million other things besides art, besides the industry that you could be doing if money is all you're worried about. Which is why people literally have other jobs besides art so that they can draw. Like Kane was a software engineer for a long ass time, and now she recently became full-time freelance art and just doing art on the side. But like she definitely like made a strong choice to build herself up as like a professional doing something else, and that could support her, and now is doing art. Like there's an infinite number of ways to go about this, right? Yeah. And yeah, and it does not matter if you're art Jesus or not. I'm not sure if you can talk about this since I came in midway, but did you talk about how important it is to develop a good rapport with your menus? Oh yeah, we talked all about menus. We did. Yeah, we did. Why is every artist an engineer? Fuck, I'm not. Hello?
I'm not, bro. I said
I'm not.
I literally majored in healthcare.
Yeah, I also did health and life science. Because they're
but also I could imagine it being like some of the programs do overlap to some degree if you're an engineer, like you can learn Figma as an artist and that shit, so
yeah.
I
don't know.
And being an engineer pays the bills, yeah.
True. I have a booth at DreamCon, but I'm gonna be alone. How bad is the experience by yourself? Like, is it doable? Absolutely doable.
Yeah. I do it most of the time.
Definitely try to scale things down. If you can have people to help you, that's great. But like, it just means that things are gonna be a little slower. That's all I can really say. Like, as in like, when setting up, it will be a little bit slower. Breaking down will be a little bit slower. Interacting with customers might be a little bit slower. Getting food, going up to go pee, grabbing coffee, might be just a little bit slower. But yeah. And honestly, I mean, if you got people that are chilling with you, like friends, like I've definitely had where other people at other booths have done me favors and stuff like that. Like, I'd say vast majority of other artists around you are in the exact same position you're in, so they'll be willing to help you out. Like, oh, yo, bro, you got like extra tape, or like, can I borrow your Sharpie? Or like, I'm sorry, man, like,
you got
can you
change?
grab this for me? Like, you got change? Like, can you split this 100? Like, stuff like that. Yeah.
And that's why I say it's important to be nice, because at a previous con that I went to, and I don't think Kuno was there, but we saw an artist basically go batshit crazy on some like other customer service people, and kind of unintentionally, by telling one of my friends what was happening, we've kind of like blacklisted this artist as someone to assist and help because they're just not a good person. Because I've been doing this long enough, I have a lot of friends in the Artist Alley community that people just don't want to help assholes. It's not like I was like, oh, don't help this guy. I was just like, hey, just as an FYI, if this guy comes, like, just be a little bit like careful because, you know,
the space is small.
The space is small. It's a lot smaller than you think.
Small. There are. Let me just bring okay. There are sometimes fewer than the number of viewers in the stream in a singular Artist Alley.
Mm-hmm.
And they all gotta be chummy with each other to some extent or another. So, yeah. Are backpacks a lot of cons? Some. I'm not gonna talk about that, but like, depends on security, and depends on how good the security is. Anime Expo security, a humongous meme. That shit wasn't real. Fanime, that shit wasn't real.
Which
But
con?
depends. Oh lord. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. So do you leave the booth alone if you get food? I mean, yeah. Sometimes you have to do that. Unfortunately, yeah. Some people will do this thing where they like write on a piece of paper BRB food or BRB bathroom and they'll go take a break.
Yeah.
Yeah. You gotta roll D20 charisma. Check security for some. You actually. Do you want to talk about this? I'm not. I don't
No,
want to say it.
I don't think you should talk about this on stream. I don't think we should talk about that.
So funny. But basically, sometimes stupid stuff happens. Security checkpoints and like stuff that's allowed or not allowed, or the way people are treated at conventions. Not because of any other artists, but like, you know, the con itself. Like, sometimes bullshit happens. Like, yeah. I'll say small cons. Dude, true. Small cons do have better security because
they care more.
Yeah, they do care more. And like Anime Expo with like a more billion people, yeah, good luck checking every single one of their bags for absolutely everything. That does not happen. I'm sorry, that does not happen. I think con security is like certain. Oh, actually, in terms of con security, like we didn't really talk about this at all, but some cons have shared spaces, as in the artist alley will share a space with the vendors alley, which might share a space with like the gaming hall or like events. And sometimes like those event halls will stay open longer than the artist alley. So something stupid like the fact that Genesis for a long time, I'm not sure if it still is, Genesis had a 24-hour venue, but the artist alley closes at some point. So some people got their stuff stolen because artist alley was closed, but people could just walk in and out of artist alley. And like, if you're an asshole and you just wanted to steal people's shit, there was kind of nothing stopping you. Yeah, goofy, silly. Yeah, but like, sometimes that's a problem. Yeah. Fanime also, yeah, Fanime used to be 24 hours, but I think they always closed the artist alley.
Yeah, it's
room.
in a different room. So
yeah. Oh, Genesis, wonderful, cool, lovely.
I don't
want to
talk about Genesis.
Yeah. But basically, you can only do so much, right? You can only do so much.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Stuff? Crazy stuff? I mean, somebody, man, what are you guys doing here? I know like 10 people that are in here that are like, you do cons regularly. Why are you watching this? You should be teaching me how to do this shit.
Fucking real. Like, y'all definitely make more money than me in one con that I do, like, you know, just what the fuck are you doing?
Question, how are you? I need to pee.
I did that already. You can go.
No, that sounds like at a convention. Like, hey, you like literally tap. Like, hey, I gotta go pee. Wait, don't take your phone. You have the hotspot. Oh, yo, if you have a Wi-Fi hotspot, that's go.
Yeah.
Hidden tech at a convention, because sometimes Wi-Fi, doggy doo-doo.
Yeah.
At Anime Expo,
even if you pay for it, it's bad.
Yeah, it's bad. Like at Anime Expo, dude, literally, I think only Aga's phone worked, and that was pretty smooch. That was crazy. And bring battery pack. Hello.
Yes.
Do that.
Yes.
Battery pack, super important. Bring lots of water, snacks.
If you have an old phone and you can use that as your point of sale instead of your personal phone, I would 100% recommend, or like an iPad or something, just because like you want to be able to have as much power as possible, just being able to have like a backup in case something happens.
Bring wet wipes and hand sanitizer.
Oh my god, yes.
People are
wet
disgusting.
wipes, hand sanitizer, Clorox wipe, fucking bleach, just bring that shit.
Because like people are touching your shit 24/7. Like sometimes wiping it down. People are kind of crusty. I mean, it's an anime convention. Yeah. Let's be real. Like, no, like, better to keep yourself sanitary. Bring a mask. Like, come on, wear a mask at a convention.
Yes,
like,
please,
you just
please,
gotta
please,
do that.
Yes, write down your portfolio.
Jesus Christ, yeah.
Also, we'll just say this again. We will be archiving this on my YouTube. I'll be posting it
Yep.
ASAP. So if you missed it, don't worry. It'll be available.
Yeah. All right.
Anything else
Um,
before we end? We've been going for like almost 3 hours. Holy
Just about 3
shit.
hours, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be making another tweet, kind of like bullet pointing the stuff that was in my section of the slides because that's the stuff I know most about prints and stuff. But otherwise, like, I mean, I'm kind of terminally online, so if you ping me on Discord or message me on Twitter, whatever, same with Miao, I'm sure they'll also be very accommodating. We can answer other questions about anything we talked about here or we didn't talk about here. Yeah, again, cons are, there's no one right way to do cons. Like the way I do it, the way Melty does it, the way Axelrod does it, all different, you know, but there's, yeah, like all I can do is wish you guys luck and do your best, try hard. Yeah. Good
And
luck.
also, someone was asking about talking with customers.
Oh yeah.
I don't want to. You want to talk about that? I don't.
What?
Because I
Talking
feel
about
like,
what do
because I like talking to customers.
Hi there, how can I help you?
Just be nice,
all right,
excited.
Will that be all?
Yeah.
Will that be all? All right. By the way, did you know that it's a buy two get one? If you get 2 prints, get the last one for free. And postcards are buy 4 get 1, and stickers are also buy 4 get 1. All right. Will that be all? Thank you very much. Let me bring you up, and Miao will help you with the order, and it'll be exactly like that. And then they'll do it. I'll bag this shit. Like, all right, here you go. Thank you very much. Moving on. That's how it works. And
You're gonna say that a million times.
You will say that a million times. I still don't exactly have the terminal like shit down because you're so much better than
Bro, everyone like it looks at me and is like, did you just rap God? Like, what the fuck did you just say? And I'm like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, Mo thought I was fast when I was helping him. Nah, he ain't hear shit.
Yeah, you're gonna bring cough drops. Bring cough
Oh,
drops.
true.
At Fanime last year, oh my god, that was so embarrassing. By day 4, because I was tabling by myself, literally, Joseph and crew were just making fun of me because I sound like I smoked 20 packs of cigarettes a day. Like, I actually could not talk.
Yeah. True. Also, I scale, but that's a separate thing.
I opposite.
Entirely.
I fucking die.
Yeah.
The real reason why
Alright,
Joseph and I work well together is because we have opposite scale.
True. Yeah, because I start out really tired at the beginning of the morning, and then, yeah, I was very energetic in the beginning of the morning when con starts, and by like 6 p.m., 8 p.m., I'm like level 18 with like 6 items. Like I'm pogging off. Like I'm just like insane. Yeah. Anyways, yeah. Thank you guys so much for joining today's stream. Thank you guys so much.
Yes.
Viewership is really crazy. Thanks for all the follows. I couldn't read out all of them, and people who subbed. I really appreciate it. But of course, that's not really the point here. Just hopefully you guys learned something, and if you guys, I really hope that all of you guys who are interested try doing a convention at least once. Like, just try it. It's like it never hurts to just try it, and I think at a low stakes level, it's not that expensive. It can be, but like you really don't have to make it. It can be a very small investment. And I think it's worth to try. Yeah. Anything else, Miao?
I think that's it. Yeah, just the
Hog.
VOD will be up on YouTube. Joseph's gonna be posting.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave this VOD open. I need to change that in my account settings or my channel settings, but I'll make sure that this VOD is viewable for everyone.
Yeah, and I'll archive it as well. Yes.
Thank you guys.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.